Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to BPL. We are here in Season 7. We have got a delightful game starting off the night here between School of Rush and Aurora here in our league. We are so excited to get this kicked off here. It is Rags and Rain bringing you all the action. Rain, we're looking forward to this one tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these are starting out in the B League, exciting stuff. And we were kind of chatting before stream is that the B League teams have all been quite close so far. So anticipating that we're going to have a pretty good match on our hands, Rex.
Yeah, so far, B-League has been very competitive, very much on the same wavelength so far. So looking at the standings here coming into this, you've got Mothmania kind of a little bit head and shoulders above the rest of the pack at this point in Balsa versus Burt, the two different branches here, if you will, to stick with the theming of B-League. But yeah, so Mothmania a little bit above us all. But yeah, Nurture and What's Up Doc, both at the end of their respective packs. But in the middle, as we can see, these two teams here, Aurora and School of Rush, both sitting at 2-1. Scoreline, map differential only off by 1 either way, so not a massive amount of difference between these two teams.
Oh, exactly. So we're hoping that this is going to be kind of maybe where we see one of these teams take ahead. We'll take a look at the history, and Rags, we were talking about this just before we went live as well. It's really interesting to see that, I mean, both School of Rush and Aurora have 2 of the same opponents in their match history.
Yeah, Borealis, in which School of Rush won that match, and Aurora lost that one, whereas School of Rush against AR High Noon lost, and Aurora won. So that essentially just creates an Ouroboros between these 4 teams that we're talking about in this section here of B-League. And already my brain hurts because it really doesn't really tell you anything, just that this is a really competitive, really close league so far in the season. And honestly, that should make for some great games here.
Yeah. Agree. So we will be getting started fairly shortly here, but Rex, maybe we should take a look at these 2 rosters that we have going up against each other tonight. So School of Rush is going to be our first one up on the screen here. On that DPS, we have Banana Shake and Gala Fish on that tank roll, and then a handful of supports here. We have Fives, we have Grunt, and we have Hobo, and we have Empty.
Yeah, quite a busy roster on the side of School of Rush. A lot of flexibility to be had, of course, with 4 supports. Does mean you're going to have some people rotating both in the support role and also a little bit around to give some additional firepower to the other lines here. But looking at their opposite here, on the other side of the equation, we do have Aurora for our second team as their roster. Yep, there we go. We have Perseus, Wave, and Luster for your DPS line. Dawes rounding out them there on the tank. And then you've got Baka, Nightingale, and Funky Pants on the support line. So a little bit more consistent in terms of like you're guaranteed. Both these teams have a guaranteed tank player for the most part, but a lot more flexibility between the DPS line of Aurora here.
Yeah, and I'm just taking a look at kind of the available roles. So, of course, these are kind of, I think, the preferred roles of the players, but some of them are kind of signed, like you said, to play some other heroes as well. So, looking at Aurora, definitely seeing a little bit more flexibility there, where School of Rush, I mean, most of these players are pretty much locked in to just play that one role, save for Empty.
Yeah, Empty, of course, providing more flexible position there, but having Fish guaranteed, essentially, as your tank player, barring an extraordinary circumstance. And I always like to see a team that has a really consistent tank line, whether it is 1 or 2 that know exactly what their role is. Again, here in Overwatch 2, when you only have 1 tank, a lot more can fall on their shoulders than necessarily did in Overwatch 1 days. So getting to see that really comes to the benefit, I think, of School of Rush. But Aurora certainly have been no slouches. They're still 2-1 in terms of their match records so far. So they very easily could prove that their flexibility is a strength.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, this being a draft league, we're going to try to get everybody a little bit of playtime. So there are going to be subs kind of happening depending on the availability of players from each of these teams. Now, Regs, we do have a set map pool here. So we know already at the 3 maps that we have the potential to go to. And we will be getting started out on that Flashpoint map of Soravasa.
Absolutely, yeah. So Suravasa kind of filling that role that often goes to Control first is Flashpoint, which kind of plays a little bit similarly to Control, just instead of changing maps, you're just on one massive one with 5 different control points available to you. It looks though we're going to have a look at the schedule before we get to the bans here so far. So yeah, just looking at today, it's a full day. We are Saturday. We are very much booked and blessed here on BPL. So here on the A stream, you're going to find, of course, this match here between School of Rush and Aurora. You've also got Seal the Deal versus Camp Half Court afterwards. Later on at 9 will be Ignite Memories versus AR High Noon, and then Boa versus Log Racers. But on the B stream, so over BPL 2, you can find Borealis v Nurture at 8 p.m., and then again you'll have Noctis versus Umfa University at 9.
And then, last but not least, we do have that BPL 3 stream. So yeah, that just goes to show how many matches we have going on tonight. So at 8, we will have Whoop Troop and Primal Pineapples over on that third stream.
Yeah, very busy day, a very busy weekend here for BPL, but it's exactly what we love to see. You know, it's great to be back into the season proper. It feels like we've gotten those sort of first few weeks jitters kind of out from under you, where these teams are really starting to find their stride now. A lot of teams have either played, either 3 or 4 games so far, and by the end of this weekend, they'll certainly have the better part of that. So we're really starting to separate the pack, and as we mentioned, there's only a couple teams here in B League that are really separating themselves. A lot of them are really sort of slogging it out in the middle rankings here in our standings so far.
Yeah, and that's the fun part of getting to see kind of these teams that are in the middle. So School of Rush and Aurora, we already took out a look at it, but these teams are essentially kind of in the middle of the pack here, and looking to really, set yourself up to get a little bit higher in those seedings. There is still plenty of time to play out the matches, but yeah, you want to try and get as many wins in as you can earlier on, and like you said, Regs, we've kind of gotten through those first couple of weeks where, there's a little bit of synergy building. Maybe you don't have a lot of time kind of playing with each other. So now that we're kind of really getting through the early on stages, we should be seeing kind of these teams really shine through.
Absolutely, and now we head into the ban stage of the map before we get things kicked off here on Suravasa. We're going to have the first ban out from School of Rush is Juno. So that option for speed will not be on the table coming into Suravasa, and of course it feels like at this point some flavor of speed is almost required for these Flashpoint maps, just how large, how spread out they are, so that almost guarantees a Lucio lock for both these teams coming in.
Yeah, I agree, and so this Juno ban coming out does mean that Aurora will have to ban out either a DPS or a tank here, so not going to have that opportunity to ban out the second support, and yeah, you kind of touched on it there, Rex. I do think that the Lucio pick most likely going to be coming out. We were seeing quite a bit of the Brig Juno composition, where you have that speed from the Juno, but if we move over onto the Lucio, we have a couple of options. I think the Lucio Kiriko is probably the most popular, but we have seen a little bit of the Lucio Ana gameplay, especially on the Flashpoint maps, where Ana is essentially just playing for a very aggressive anti-nade, and you're looking to just kind of follow up on that utility. You do need kind of the peel that's available, so usually you'll see kind of like a Cassidy or something play with that Ana in addition to the Lucio, but yeah, essentially, without that Juno in the mix, it does narrow down for sure the backlines that we could be seeing come out, especially for Flashpoint, where you don't really have a whole lot of high ground to contest here, so you need to have supports that are going to be able to more or less peel for themselves.
Yeah, certainly as ubiquitous as Juno has been, essentially since she was brought into the game, just about a year ago at this point, she's kind of been all over so many different variations of comps, and I love to get to see her, versatility there, but gonna have to play a bit more creatively for the teams here in this first map. We're just waiting to see what Aurora wants to go with their ban. Honestly, a lot of teams, if they're not feeling very comfortable on the Freya pick, because she is new and she's just been such a powerhouse, even with those slight nerfs that have come her way in the recent weeks. Still a very powerful hero, still very good in the hands of someone who knows very much what to do with them. Sort of filling that role that Sojourn, that Ashe can sometimes fill, but with just so much more high ground mobility, you really can hardly pin down. It feels like Freya always has at least one, often both of her cooldowns available, depending on how flexible you're playing. So really hard to pin down. So if you find that your team just does not favor it, you might as well ban it out. But instead of that, all that waffling for nothing, because Aurora decided to ban out Orisa coming in to Suravasa.
Yeah, and the Arisa definitely has been seeing a whole lot of playtime as well. I think especially where you're kind of baiting out that Juno, you're essentially moving kind of towards a bit more of a rush kind of a style of a composition rather than a wrecking ball or anything like that. So banning out this Arisa to me is indicating that we might get to see the Hazard here. We might see the Ramatra here. There is still kind of that chance that you can run that wrecking ball. The Lucio maybe not going to have kind of as much synergy. You're going to have a lot more splits all over the point and all over the map, so you're not going to necessarily get the biggest value from that aura healing. But the Hazard and the Ramatra definitely still on the table here. I mean, Rex, we've even actually seen some Junker Queen in a handful of these BPL matches. Not necessarily the highest pick rate, but once upon a time, she was super, super popular on these Flashpoint maps.
She certainly was. Yeah, Brawl kind of has been the name of the game on Flashpoint since its inception, but we've really seen, especially with, Hazard's rise to prominence, a lot of sort of dive variants. Hazard can kind of play that sort of midpoint between the Brawl and the dive. He's very bulky, very beefy, but can still really assassinate so many of the squishier targets, and has incredible mobility, especially with his secondary perk, Deep Leap, allowing you to get just further distance on that. It's terrifying. Just having that run you down in the backline, just an enormous Scotsman absolutely leaping at you, slicing your face. Yeah, I understand exactly why people want to get Orisa off the field if they're trying to run Hazard, as Orisa can play spoiler to a lot of those more mobile compositions, especially with a massive body like Hazard or any of these other tanks that would look to play that style.
Yeah, and I do think Hazard is a really great option for playing Flashpoint specifically, because Flashpoint is a lot of kind of in and out. You're not trying to hang out on the point too much. It's fast engages, and that's exactly where Hazard is excelling, is using that utility. Really, if you're going to play the Hazard, you need to nail down those cycles with the cooldowns, because you can get caught out very easily, and Orisa, like you said, Rags, one of those tanks that can shut down Hazard really quickly with the cooldown. So if you can use that spear or even the spin, you can pretty much displace the entire cycle of a Hazard, and that can really mess a team up.
Yeah, without question. So certainly not having Orisa in this first map here kind of indicates that that's sort of the style you're looking to run. Maybe not necessarily just Hazard itself. Orisa's really effective at shutting down Mauga in a lot of situations, kind of like the first earliest counter that we got to see to Mauga when he was so oppressive when he first was released in game. So yeah, she really, any of the ones that you'd mentioned there, Rain, both Mauga, Junker Queen, and Hazard, even Ramatra to a certain extent, all that block really counts for nothing if you get Javelin right to your face and pinned to the wall. So having Orisa off the field provides a lot more openness, a lot more flexibility for these other Brawl compositions.
And we talked about the supports a little bit, and we talked about the tanks a little bit. So one of the DPS that you had mentioned, we are often getting seen banned out kind of map 1, was that Freya, and we didn't see the Freya ban coming through map 1. So I'm anticipating that we probably, if you have someone that can play Freya, I am expecting that these teams are going to run that Freya. The burst damage, absolutely incredible from her, and although there isn't necessarily as much high ground to kind of control on Suravasa, just the mobility in general for Freya is going to allow her to take some really nice angles. She can essentially do that job that Sojourn does, but instead of just having the one slide as your kind of get out of jail free card, it feels like, yeah, Freya just has a mobility cooldown up for every single engagement that you try to go on.
Yeah, she is very difficult to pin down, and they certainly will not be able to do that with a Javelin here coming in. So we've seen some Cassidy work as sort of a counter to Freya in certain situations. Now, she is just still so powerful that, like, if she's above you and just shooting full auto with those crossbow bolts, even a Cassidy is going to melt down before that. 275 health is not that much, all things considered here. We are just waiting a few more moments before we get into the first map here on Suravasa. We've got all the information, everything here before us, but yeah. So, Freya, I would certainly expect, I agree with you, Rain, 100%. I would expect at least one of the teams to be running them. If they were not comfortable, I think they would have banned out, unless they're really hoping to save that Freya ban for later in the series, when they know Suravasa can play a little bit more chaotic, a little bit more all over the place, having, the potential of going to full 5 flashpoints here. Anything can really happen on these flashpoint maps. So really being able to sort of rotate between is crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is with Flashpoint is that, you have the opportunity here for kind of like a little mini reverse sweep. So even if you go down 2, there's still kind of hope for you to come back into it. But similar to, I think, kind of the push maps, maybe not as much control because when you move from submap to submap, you're kind of getting a reset on those ultimates. But the snowball potential for Flashpoint can be really massive if you're not timing these engagements right. And similar to a push map, like, you really, really don't want to get caught out kind of getting staggered in these fights because the Flashpoint percentage is just going to build up so quickly that you really need to reset as fast as possible. You want to be able to just get the numbers game. Get as many fights in as you possibly can, especially if you're kind of like down and you're looking for a comeback. Is just like, that's what you need. It's like, reset, just go for another fight, eventually one of them is hopefully gonna go your way, but it can be really tricky here if you get caught out of the ult cycle. Yeah, everything can fall apart really quickly.
Yeah, fully agree, Rain. Talk about the ult cycling there. Any of these teams that come out on a composition that feels strongly countered by their opponent, or just as the time goes on, if they feel like they're slowly losing that war of attrition there, they need to be able to make those compositional swaps pretty early on. Otherwise, just like you're talking about, they're going to start losing, that war of attrition between the ult cycling. They're not going to have the sort of timing that you really need to be very conscious of. And with as fast as these points tick up, it can snowball so easily. I fully agree with that.
Okay, well, we have some compositions kind of being teased here. We still have some time before these doors open, so there is an opportunity to change them out. But we did get one thing right. At least it is going to be the Kiriko Lucio backlines. It's looking like now School of Rush on this Ramatra composition, and then the Freya Tracer. We will see the TP out of spawn for School of Rush, and then the Wrecking Ball making an appearance on Aurora. So I mean, we were thinking that we might be seeing a Freya, but not this time, at least.
No, I really like this. Having Perseus and Wave here on this Cassidy Genji, which is an incredible duo at this stage of the game here. And Dawes, they're just able to rotate anywhere they want to, not having to worry too much about the rest of the team keeping them up, especially with as well as this Cassidy and Genji can play, being well supported by Funky Pants and Baka. Unfortunately, Fish is right there on top of you. That Ramatra not at all concerned about the cybernetic ninja of Genji getting a punch straight to the dome there. Perseus does take Grunt out of the fight, so without that speed, School of Rush are kind of stuck in one position here, but they do not mind whatsoever as that position is capping the point.
Yeah, exactly. And with this Ramatra comp, like, getting set up on the point first here, it's going to put you in a very strong position. Gala's going to be able to set up on a pretty far angle over on the side. You have Grunt on the Lucio. They can potentially go in for that peel. And now for Aurora, ooh, you lose Dawes early here. You basically just have to reset. We see Fish getting very aggressive here. Ooh, looking like Aurora might be able to turn this around, though.
Yeah, losing early there in that fight, Dawes going down really seemed like it was going to put a damper on Aurora's plans, but School of Rush was able to, unfortunately, just got themselves picked apart one by one as the rest of Aurora were looking pretty comfy on the point, able to rotate around together, and yeah, finally back into it. Only 56% for School of Rush, which, considering how fast these tick up, not too bad.
Yeah, Aurora doing a good job coming back into this fight. You are going to have that Deadeye from Perseus available for this next one. Now, Aurora needs to have lots of angles on the control right now because with this Wrecking Ball, you need to be ready for this engagement wherever it goes. And with School of Rush kind of taking this far side, this is an opportunity for a big hit from Dawes.
High ground controlled by Wave there as Dawes coming in, trying to make a pincer maneuver as the High Noon comes through. Pulse Bomb laid out. Perseus doesn't go down, still falling dangerously low, held onto it just long enough. Banana Shake gets sent real quick back to spawn. The Pulse Bomb finding nothing for their trouble there. And Perseus getting the better of them, waiting for that High Noon. You saw that Suzu committed. They were dumping everything into keeping their Cassidy alive, and it paid dividends.
Yeah, exactly. The percentage now well above what School of Rush have, and once we're kind of crossing this 80%, it's going to be very dicey for School of Rush to come back into this, and it's looking like they might not even get the touch here. You are going to be able to take an early fight, but Aurora, I mean, you only use that Deadeye for the fight, so you're going to have 4 other ultimates for this fight.
Banana Shake rather, combined 2 players, how about that? Made the call to go in to touch the point, but unfortunately was just a half second behind. So the point did cap in Aurora's favor, but School of Rush find themselves on the objective. But unfortunately, it just was not at all the place they needed to be at the right time. They do win that fight, and so are going to be the first ones on the next objective here. But Aurora, they're perfectly happy with that one. They're going to make the approach, but they have a 4-stack of ults ready to go.
Oh yeah, including this minefield. I think of all of the sub points kind of in Saravasa, this might be one of the best ones for this minefield. It's a little bit lower kind of compared to the space around the point, and although School of Rush are set up here, the point hasn't flipped just yet, so Aurora have an opportunity to go for an engagement here. You've got the ultimates to work with.
Yeah, Wave ready to get use out of this Dragon Blade here. Wonder if they're going to be combining that with the Sound Barrier. Yep, they do exactly that. You've got the Blade. No Nana required. Plenty of overhealth provided for Wave on that Genji. Gets Grunt Fudda, slices and dices, sending them all the way back to spawn. As Perseus building up towards another Deadeye here. Might just use it to close out this fight or hold on to it to get another one. But yeah, Dawes with that minefield, just like you said, Rain. This is exactly the submat that you want to see for that minefield. Dawes getting massive value from it, already built up to a third of another one.
Oh yeah, impressive stuff, Aurora. School of Rush committing both those support ultimates, and unfortunately you just don't quite find the value that you really need. Wave is able to cut through that sound barrier and taking down Grunt there, and then you don't have that aura healing for School of Rush, so it's just so much harder to kind of hold your presence on the point. Now, you do have both DPS ultimates to work with here. Fish falling very, very low already. Yeah, School of Rush gonna have to commit this overclock just to try to make something happen.
Yeah, Gala lets loose, but Perseus gets the better of Fish, just falling so low, and unfortunately, between Kiriko and Lucio, not quite as much immediate healing as you'd like to have on that Ramatra, getting taken down pretty early, and essentially that fight and that ultimate used from Gala essentially amounts to nothing at this point, as Aurora ticking well past 60%.
Yeah, it's getting down to the wire. School of the Rush, you've got that Pulse Bomb from Banana ready to go. The Cleanse from Funky Pants is going to be there, and actually the Kitsune Rush as well. It's going to make it so hard for School of Rush to even push through this choke point.
No, I love this. Aurora know exactly what they need to do and hold the door here, so they send it, they go full speed ahead with that rush. Falling low, everyone's got to back up just a little bit here as Dawes has another minefield ready to go. This could be just the thing to clinch the round in their favor, but School of Rush have a couple ults of their own as Fish lets loose the Annihilation on the objective. That should do just enough minesweeping to keep them with a presence on the point here. Unfortunately, no one is around for them to get benefit from it for much too long here, and with still plenty of mines left over, Fish is kind of in a barrel here, and unfortunately, we know exactly what happens to one in that situation as Perseus and Funky Pants clean up the remainder of School of Rush. Yeah, Aurora spent judiciously and paid, again, dividends for them.
Yeah, I love that minefield from Dawes. It covers the whole point. We see that Annihilation come out, and everybody from Aurora just backs off the point because you could even afford to give that percentage over, recognizing that as soon as Annihilation kind of wears out because it doesn't have any targets to sustain it, that's when Aurora just goes back in for the recap.
Yeah, swap from Fish over onto the Junker Queen. I love this. We are essentially on the Jotes composition of early Overwatch 2 days, but unfortunately, Funky Pants aside, they're not a huge fan of this one. So Gala goes down, but an axe swing takes directly onto Wave's head. Carnage, axe beats sword, and you're going to have to wait just a few more seconds rather, to use that Dragon Blade. But the rush over the objective is enough to keep the school thereof here in control, and they will start ticking up percentage in their favor.
This is great for Rush. This composition, I think, is going to be a lot more impactful against what Aurora's running. Perseus on this Cassidy is going to have to be really careful because, I mean, you are going to be the target of this this speed composition. The Lucio speed and the Queen speed going to be coming for you.
Yeah, you see, going for that bold Deadeye right in front of everything, ready to use that Suzu as Funky Pants is fully in support of their Cassidy player, but Banana Shake does get the better of Perseus, but unfortunately it's a little too late as the rest of their team is fully been taken down by the full collapse. It really felt like the Deadeye was kind of the tool to open up that fight, but was not the finisher.
Yeah, trying to just kind of create space, the zoning alts as you will, and Aurora flipping this back over. Those mines ready to go from Dawes once again. Wave does this blade as well. Now, there's no beat on the side of School of Rush, but you do have those two forms of speed that we kind of talked about, so you have an opportunity to potentially kite out of it.
Yeah, Minefield comes through, and Gala with that overclock immediately takes Wave out. That 150 charge on the ultimate there from that perk. Unfortunately, Baka's still alive, sending you all the way into the drink. The wall climb trying to come through from Hobo as they just managed to save themselves for a moment, it looks like. But Dawes is doing their best to do the exact impersonation of Baka on their back line. But the rest of Aurora is still putting up a fight. But unfortunately, School of Rush is still alive and kicking. Hobo was able to get back in quick enough. And with that Rampage coming through, Wave and Banana Shake are both letting loose of their Dragon Blades here. It is a duel of the Genjis, but it turns out that it's just a little too much power there coming out from Aurora. They will finally cap the point in their favor, 99-55.
Oh, okay, so Dawes has picked up this, the tank perk, the tank damage perk, so gonna do extra damage to Fish here. That was picked up, I think, when Fish was still on the Ramatra. There we saw Dawes kind of roll into Fish with that perk, and actually ended up knocking Fish right into Perseus, who was able to take out with that knife. But, I mean, hey, you're back in control of this point as Aurora, and this is gonna be potential last fight territory here, as you're already up 2-0, and it's approaching this 99-99.
Yeah, you've got rushes laid out over the point, all ults being spent at once here. The Deadeye out from Perseus takes Fish down. You really do miss that Ramatra shield when you are playing the Junker Queen in the face of a Deadeye. Gala does get the kill back here on the Soldier of all things, does get Perseus, but unfortunately that is all they're going to get for their trouble there. 3 points to none. Aurora take the map. School of Rush, they look good in moments there, but Aurora, they had the comp.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, Rags. This Wrecking Ball composition, it just is winning out, especially against the Ramatra comp. I like the swap to the Junker Queen from School of Rush, but Aurora just had all the angles at all the times, it felt like. And with this Genji, I mean, Wave was doing so great, not just with the blades, but just doing a really great job of following up on the damage from Dawes. And that's exactly what you need to see with this Wrecking Ball composition, is your Wrecking Ball is going in, creating the space, doing kind of that initial burst of damage, and then you have the rest of your kind of frontline follow up with you to just clean up those kills. And yeah, Aurora looking very good on Flashpoint, so it's a strong start for them.
Yeah, I fully agree that the comp coming out there later in the latter points from School of Rush with that Junker Queen looked really good. I kind of would have liked to see them swap a bit earlier. Unfortunately, we're not getting quite the value you wanted to, especially once it became clear that the second Flashpoint just really was not going their way. I mean, we saw that just terribly sad annihilation on the objective, just surrounded by all those mines and not a body from which to drink. No grape-flavored vengeance for them, unfortunately. But that is going to clinch the first map in the series for Aurora. And of course, these are first to 2 series here, Rain. So this is now School of Rush's last chance to keep themselves alive to get a win on the board here. And Aurora, they're feeling pretty good about themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Aurora would love to finish this in a 2-0 fashion, I'm sure. However, I'm looking at the next map that we're heading to, since they are all predetermined. Rialto. It's going to be a little bit harder to run this Wrecking Ball composition, so I think that we are definitely going to have to see a pivot, at least from Aurora, onto a little bit more frontline kind of presence, maybe a rush composition. You definitely can play dive as well, but Rialto is just not going to have the same amount of angles that you're getting from Suravasa, so although you can kind of go in for that engage on that Wrecking Ball, you might not necessarily have your DPS kind of set up on an angle where they're going to be easily able to follow up on those engages.
Yeah, you'd be hard-pressed to find a map that is more different from Suravasa than Rialto. Maybe, you know, Route 66, maybe Circuit Royale. That's kind of about it. But Rialto is a very long escort map, as they tend to be. You've got so many narrow choke points. You've got all this environmental potential all over the place. So you really have to play a very different game here, whether that's going to pay off in terms of swaps of players or simply an adjustment compositionally, you know, if that's all they feel they need here. And of course, different bans coming in. That does mean that as long as the opposing team, as long as Aurora does not ban Juno is going to be a possibility here. Of course, her speed, not as vital in a map type like this. But as you were mentioning earlier, before we even got started here, Rain, those Juno Brig compositions that we've been seeing more and more recently, I think could really serve these teams well, especially on defense, but you certainly could get some offensive value out of Juno here.
I agree. The Juno's really great for helping with those rotations, and the Juno Brig backline is able to just really live through a lot of engagements. So if you do end up kind of against that brawl composition, or even a dive, you can use the speed to back out of a brawl, or you could really just sustain through a dive with that Brig. We often see them kind of set up on that high ground of Rialto around that first corner. So if you can really get control of that first high ground, it can be very, very hard for the attacking team to kind of push in because you're taking poke damage as you're rotating up. You need to force people off that high ground. So, I mean, if you can get yourself comfortably set up there, you can at least burn time off the clock.
Yeah, without question. We do have the bans have finally come through for the second map in the series here. Rush have decided they've had quite enough of that space hamster, and so we are not going to have any Wrecking Ball here in this second map of the series. Like you were saying, Rain, I wouldn't have expected necessarily, but, you know, a lot of these teams, if they feel hot on a composition, even if it's not the most ideal coming through, they might just stick on it. So this is School of Rush deciding, no, we do not want to risk that. That is not an option coming in here. We're going to put a stop to this at once.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know, if you win this one as School of Rush, you might want that Wrecking Ball band back in your pocket, but that's okay, you know, you're gonna make it work here. Like you said, sometimes teams can just kind of roll through with these compositions that are working for them. Now, the ban for Aurora, it is gonna be the Tracer ban coming out. I think that this can be a pretty impactful ban here on Rialto, because although, like I said, it doesn't necessarily have all the angles, Tracer can do a really good job of just kind of sneaking around the sides. It's very easy for you to kind of control health packs as Tracer, so Rialto is one of those maps where you don't necessarily have to send one of your supports with the Tracer. Sometimes we'll see the Lucio Tracer kind of duo wandering around on maps, basically just assassinating backlines, but in this situation, you can keep both your supports essentially with that front line, and the Tracer would be able to just kind of wreak havoc in the backline. So seeing that ban come out, that does make a lot of sense for me.
It also, the Tracer ban suggests to me that they might be looking to play a little bit either of Widow or some other long-range poke variety here. Of course, Tracer is one of the best at sort of shutting down that incredibly long range that either a Widow or an Ashe, or even like a Hanzo, or in this case, you know, sometimes you'll see Freya now occupy that same role. So without that, that does protect a little bit any sort of long-range potential that these teams could be running here. But we do have a couple swaps, as we see here on the side of Aurora. You've got Lester coming in for Perseus, and Nightingale coming in for Funky Pants on the back line.
Yeah, Nightingale, a known Ana player, so excited to see that. The Ana Brig making an appearance here for Aurora, potentially on the attack. Now, that is going to take a lot of rotating, as the Ana Brig backline going to have a little bit of a struggle against this composition that School of Rush is running, where you have this Sojourn and the Echo, and you have Fish on the Orisa as well, so you don't necessarily need this Brigitte to really be pocketing this Ana. The dive's not necessarily going to be coming through, so right now Aurora need to be looking for some really aggressive anti-nades, because, I mean, there's no Kiriko on the side of School of Rush to negate those.
Yeah, Aurora's ban early in the first map on to Orisa makes fully a lot more sense here, seeing Fish piloting it coming out the gate here on defense. We got Banana Shake orbiting in the skies with that Echo play there as Gala, yeah, takes Wave out at the head, sending them all the way back. As the Jagged Wall comes out from Dawes, trying to make a little bit more space for their team, trying to orbit around this corner here. Such a difficult place for teams to aggress on the offense. And School of Rush, I mean, they're pretty well dug in, but of course you do have Aurora rotating onto the high ground here, just like you were talking about, Rain. You have finally gotten Nightingale and Baka here on the high ground, but we'll see if they're able to get a whole lot of value out of it. You've got Hobo and Empty both doing so much work here, keeping the rest of School of Rush alive and healthy, as Fish is just holding down the card at this point. Dawes doing what they can, but into this Orisa, I mean, Hazard has a really rough time, and yeah, Banana Shake is just laying in so much free damage here, already building up so close to a duplicate coming out of the gate.
Yeah, and Luster is built up to this Bola as well. I think that they've had it for maybe like 10 seconds now. Like, this is an insane amount of damage from this Freya, and that could really open things up here as we see School of Rush basically just kind of having to back up. You don't have anybody that can test this high ground.
Yeah, no, just like you suggested, Luster really putting Gala in their place. Unfortunately, not able to build up to an ultimate of their own. The bullet shot beautifully done to take Hobo out of the game. Now without supports, now without tanks, School of Rush crumble down before the pressure of this instant ultimate. It feels like easily the fastest. And of course, they're back up to 48% with that Freya passive. My goodness.
Right, like I blink and Freya has another ultimate ready to go. Now, it looks like School of Rush will be able to get a contest here. You have that orbit from Hobo as well, but Nightingale, okay, Nate has been used here, so that's not going to be able to negate this orbital ray coming in.
No, Banana Shake has been so good at assassinating the backline as soon as it becomes an option for them. They might go down for this, but yeah, getting two out early, especially with as valuable as that Freya and Ana have been, you certainly take that trade. And coming back in at just the right moment here, resuspending the ultimate, probably necessary. You really wanted to clean this fight up here, but really spending all of those ults at once, School of Rush, I know they were desperate to hold on here, but you're going to have very little coming into this next fight.
Oh, yeah, and Aurora have the Nano Blade ready to go. You don't have the Rally. You don't have the Terra Surge. I mean, you have this overclock from Gala. If you're School of Rush, honestly, you need to take either Nightingale or Wave out of the fight first here to just try and shut down that ultimate before it even happens.
Yeah, and you do have Wave coming through. That Skyward Dash immediately heralds the Nano Blade coming through, slicing Empty to bits. Unfortunate there to be found out. Both members of the backline being taken down immediately by Wave. And yeah, just as we suggested, there's really no stopping that unless you have an immediate perfect execution onto Wave. And Aurora roll through point A, 3 minutes in the time bank.
This DPS lineup for Aurora has just really been opening fights up and cleaning fights up too. Kind of just taking the center stage here as Leicester does have that Bolo ready to go once again. Gala still has this overclock, and we do have the copy from Banana as well. Opening pick onto Nightingale. Good start here for School of Rush.
Yeah, Nightingale getting spotted out. You do have Luster here with that perk, being able to see low health targets through walls. Super important there for an assassin like this Freya is able to play here, but Banana Shake really cannot be counted out. Has been getting the early assassination picks so often in these fights here. It's really been the hero so far of Rialto whenever School of Rush has needed it. Really shutting down these fights before they can get started.
Yeah, I wonder if we see the copy. Yep, going out onto Hazard. Now, you really want to try and stay alive through this and build up to that Hazard all. Looking like Banana Shake is at least not going to get burned down right away.
Yeah, Wave and Dawes both falling dangerously low here as Banana Shake does clean up the kill onto Wave finally, and getting Baka down as well. Just a brief downpour for a moment as Leicester still alive though, does get the kill back in answer, but Dawes still dangerously low, was able to get out for a moment, but looks like that is all the distance they're going to get. They're going to get sent back to spawn, have another few seconds to come back into the fight here, and School of Rush now have a chance to breathe.
Yeah, this is beautiful for School of Rush because you can get set up on this high ground and you're going to be able to put in a lot of poke damage for Aurora as they try and cross this bridge. With this Ana, Kiriko, you don't have any speed, and we kind of touched on it earlier, but if you can force out the cooldowns from the Hazard kind of while the engage is being started, that's where you're really going to be able to find kind of the leg up in these fights.
Yeah, and both Gala and Banana Shake know that as long as Wave is not deflecting anything they're using, of course with the beam of Banana Shake, you don't have to worry about it as much. They're the first target, essentially, of your dive here, as Nightingale's pretty protected there in the back line, far from the rest of the team, but Luster gets that kill on Banana Shake early. That assassin out of the question for School of Rush does mean that the rest of it's going to fall on the shoulders of Fish and Gala, letting loose with ultimates, all three being spent at once here, as Gala does get the kill on Baka. Unfortunately, the wall does take them down, but Fish able to kill Luster does mean that no further ult charge for that devastating Freya. Alright, so that is under a minute here. School of Rush were finally able to hold.
Yeah, exactly, and get set back up on this high ground once again. You want to be able to hold up here as long as possible. You need to put this poke damage onto Aurora as they're pushing in, and Luster, ooh, that's the beauty of their Orisa. You can do so much damage from so far away. And again, we're down to like 30 seconds now, so it's all about just kind of like finding these picks, get the staggers. If School of Rush could find one more kill here, it's going to look very dicey for Aurora, but if you can break through this bridge, Aurora has that Nano Blade ready to go. We saw Wave get massive value with it last time, but Empty has the Rally ready to go, so there is hope for School of Rush to try and sustain through this ult combo.
Nano Blade locked and loaded, gets sent down immediately onto Wave, and it looks exactly as it did before, but this time School of Rush is ready for this Genji. You've got a Rallying Brig Raid Boss mode fully activated, ready to shut down, or at least pause out the duration of that Nano Blade coming through, as Luster falls, not able to build up to yet another Bola Shot, Wave falling in close succession afterwards there. Dawes does get the better of Fish, but it looks like that's going to be all they get for their trouble. The copy from Banana Shake onto Freya does mean that Luster's not going to be able to swap on anything else, just a little bit of a slight wrench in the gears there, but yeah, that is going to be it for the aggression of Aurora, despite a really strong opening salvo. School of Rush was able to make a play there on defense, and once they had that corner under their control reign, they really did not let it go.
Yeah, that is the difference between the first point and the second point for School of Rush. The first point, they gave up that high ground on the first corner so quickly, and Aurora was able to just get set up there, and that gave them all the space in the world to work with. You had the Freya kind of set up there, and you're just raining down damage on poor School of Rush that's just sitting out in the open waiting to kind of contest that cart, but School of Rush, once you got to that second point, consistently rotating back to that high ground. Always after every fight, you're going back up there. You're controlling the high ground. You're denying Aurora that free space, and that's what allowed them to really just hold on so well to the second point. So impressive stuff from them. It's no surprise to me why, yeah, you mentioned it earlier, that's Orisa being banned out. Fish, although you're maybe not seeing Fish in the kill feed quite as much, it's just about the pressure that the Orisa creates. You're able to use so much of these cooldowns to negate that hazard, and we're actually going to see Aurora have Dawes over on the Orisa now for this defense. So just showing kind of your need to force this Orisa mirror here, and we'll see if School of Rush are going to opt to kind of stick with the same composition. It worked really well on the defense, so it wouldn't be a surprise to me if they opt to keep this on the attack as well. And it's looking like it's essentially a mirror comp, except for those, those two DPS kind of a little bit different here, as Lester has been doing a lot of work on this Freya, but Banana Shake putting in just as much work on that Echo.
Yeah, Lester is going to be very pleased having the high ground here on defense. Plenty of room to operate for as the Freya, but you do have to watch out. Banana Shake is always going to be somewhere behind you, somewhere diving directly down onto your supports. And of course, Freya only has that 225 health pool, same as the Echo does, but not quite as well sustained as a lot of other DPS players here. You do have that immediate assassination onto Nightingale there. Banana Shake was not willing to let that one go. Wave does get the kill onto Fish though, so without that Orisa to anchor around on the cart, it really does feel like School of Rush are going to have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, School of Rush can do a pretty quick reset here. Although Nightingale is on that Juno, so you have the speed to come back, it is a bit of a walk to get back to it. So School of Rush have an opportunity to get aggressive here.
The bouncing Orisas just immediately reflecting off each other here. You have Fish versus Dawes here. I'm glad to see them here on this mirror pick. It really felt like the hazard was not getting as much value as you wanted, especially the longer their offense went on. But Wave getting Gala out early, yeah, this is exactly the sort of defense that Aurora needed. They did not let that failed offense get to them. They are looking very comfortable here, still maintaining this high ground control, not really letting any setup come through from School of Rush.
No, nice, another opening pick here for Wave, and what School of Rush kind of need to do is you really need to rotate Gala up onto that high ground. We can see that they're kind of positioning inside by this mini, maybe thinking about it. You don't quite have Gala back in the fight yet, but if you can get your Sojourn set up there with the Brig, with the Juno, it's going to just allow you to have a lot more angles on this Aurora team.
Yeah, Dawes built up to a Terra Surge. Lester ready with that bola shot, both ready to go. Immediately lets it loose directly onto the explosive result there onto the members on the payload. And Dawes cleaning everybody up with that Terra Surge. I mean, blink and you miss it. 2 ults spent and everyone sent back to spawn with a beautiful team kill from Aurora.
Yeah, that's a really nasty combo, that Bola plus Terra Surge, and now you have this Blade ready to go from Wave. Nightingale on the Juno now, so you don't necessarily have that Nano ready to go, but you can have both support ults now. School of Rush, I mean, you've built up your ultimates as well, so this is an opportunity. Maybe use this copy. The Terra Surge maybe going to be a little bit harder to try to find the value, because everybody's so spread out.
Yeah, and exactly as you call it there, Rain, the Terra Surge pops and everyone heads for the hills. Not able to get a whole lot done with that one, but Dawes is getting back into a corner here as Empty is looking to sort of push that Orisa back and far away from the rest of the team where they can't provide a whole lot of value defensively. Wave does get the better of Empty finally, but Fish taking Dawes out removes that immediate anchor point that Aurora could have on their defense. Now, we are kind of like a bit scattered here as there are fights happening all over the map. Coming through, Gala does get the kill onto Lester. That is massive. Preventing that Freya from building up further ult charge is crucial here on the side of School of Rush. So they're continuing with their offense, and it looks as though they're going to try to hold the gate. Yep, Banana Shake goes for a copy onto the Orisa. Double battle cattle here against one on the bridge. I mean, it's a duel of unfair proportions here. Aurora does not know what hit them, and it turns out what hit them is a pair of javelins coming directly down upon their heads. An easy cap once all was said and done, but School of Rush, they spent heavy to make it work. But with 3 minutes on the clock, I'd say it's worth it.
Yeah, I like that from School of Rush. We saw Aurora get really aggressive. Baka had that rally up, so you kind of push School of Rush into that corridor, but once the Brig has kind of pushed that far forward, well, then you pop that overclock because Brig is essentially out in the open, the rally dies down, and they're able to find that opening pick.
Yeah, and immediate kills, though, as Dawes and Lester let loose on to the back line of School of Rush. Unfortunately, not able to really set up comfortably there on the offense. So really, you know, as strong as it looked coming into point A, finishing it off there, just Aurora able to rally once again, not at all letting sort of a loss of fights really lead to a snowball collapse. They've got enough, enough resilience to withstand that.
Yeah, and I mean, I talked about School of Rush getting set up on this high ground on second point. Well, now Aurora's up there, and you have this Freya that's able to do a whole lot of burst damage. Nice spear there from Dawes. Now, it's going to be School of Rush. At least you have the speed to try and get across this bridge.
Yeah, Dawes ready with the Terror Surge, but falling dangerously low and just is right out in the open. Unfortunately, not able to get a whole lot of uptake on anyone invited to share in the massive damage coming through from that spinning Orisa. But losing it on the other side as Fish does go for their Terror Surge, not get a whole lot of value from it either. But School of Rush is perfectly fine with that. They zone everyone away, they fall nicely back. But Fish a bit too far forward there, not at all close to the supports. And with that, that does mean that this push is kind of going to get halted here at the same corner they were so comfortable at on defense.
Yeah, every time we see like one of those tanks fall for one team, we see, yeah, basically it's the disengage here from School of Rush, but that's okay. I like this disengage because you're gonna have both those DPS ultimates coming in. You're gonna have that orbital ray ready to go. Now Wave does have a blade once again. Now, like I said, not really a whole big defensive ultimate. The Juno ult sometimes can work as kind of like the counter to that blade, but you really need to have everybody on the same page about it.
Yes, be ready to use it. I mean, School of Rush has been very free with their ultimates. Once they've got them, they like to use them all at once. Aurora been a bit more judicious in their application. So Wave waiting to use this blade, does not pull it. Gets taken down by Gala, though, with that overclock rolling through. That could be their last chance to actually hold on defense here, as the rest of School of Rush powered directly over the heads of Aurora here. It turns out, saving your ultimates for a rainy day, but that rain never comes. It is clear skies ahead for School of Rush as they clinch here on Rialto, sending us to a map 3.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. You said once School of Rush kind of has their ultimates, you just go for it, and you had the better ultimates. You used them proactively. You took Wave out of the fight. I mean, that was the blade immediately gone, so you don't even have to counter it. Just send the Genji back to spawn as Wave A is going to go ahead and pick up this play of the game. But School of Rush looking really good on this Orisa composition, especially considering that, I mean, you didn't even have the Freya comboed with this, because I do think that Freya Orisa combo is very, very strong, but Gala just looking so good on the Sojourn, and I mean Banana Shake on that Echo as well, doing an amazing job kind of keeping everybody in check, finding the burst damage with those stickies, and you have that Ray to kind of clean everything up as well. We saw so many copies onto the tank to Orisa's. Yeah, it can be pretty terrifying to go against.
Yeah, this clearly felt like the composition that School of Rush were a lot more comfortable on, especially in comparison to what they were running on Suravasa, whether that's map type or the ban onto the obviously favored Orisa for Fish. Certainly does serve them in good stead here. And bear in mind that Aurora used that ban, the very first one in the series. So that Orisa, unless for some reason School of Rush decided to ban it, is going to be on the table for the final map of our series coming up here. So Aurora now have to plan and almost, I mean, they kind of know what could be coming their way. Sure. But as we got to see here on Rialto, that doesn't mean you can counter it. We found that with Dawes and that Hazard was not enough to take down that Orisa, of course, as a natural counter as she seems to be. And then in the Orisa mirror, they just didn't really seem like they were able to bring it to that same level. And as you mentioned, Rain, in the map, wasn't lighting up the kill feed so much was Fish, but was still able to be just this massive point around which the rest of the team could orbit. That sort of center of their solar system where the rest of the team knew where they were, was able to work around them just fine, and Banana Shake and Gala were able to get their assassinations. And of course, the backline knew exactly where their win condition was always at all times.
Yeah, so heading into this tiebreaker map, I mean, we kind of mentioned this in the ban phase of this last map, but Busan, you might want that Wrecking Ball ban back, I think, if you're School of Rush, because you're definitely going to have the opportunity, if you're Aurora, to play the Wrecking Ball. Not on all of the maps, but you definitely can run it on Sanctuary, you can run it on Down, heck, you can force it on Mecha Base if you're really feeling it. But I do think that, I mean, you can play these compositions similarly to exactly what Aurora was doing on Suravasa, where you won 3-0. It was very, very dominant once you were on this Wrecking Ball, the Genji composition as well. So very interested to see kind of what bans are going to come through to try and shut down Aurora the composition that I'm anticipating Aurora is going to come out on, because they worked so well before, and now you don't have that Wrecking Ball, so you got to think of something else that can try and throw a wrench into the plans of Aurora.
Yeah, so without the Orisa ban available for Aurora, and without the Wrecking Ball ban available for School of Rush, potentially we could see both of these tanks here on their most comfortable picks and just kind of see where it hashes out in the ultimate bloodbath between them here. But yeah, looking at the bans as we have here, you do have Aurora banning that Sojourn. All right, so they saw how lethal Gala was and just how versatile Sojourn is. Really, you know, you don't expect to see Echo on every single map, so I understand why they didn't want to go with it, despite Banana Shake perhaps being the more obvious, you know, key shutdown there. But yeah, Sojourn is just so flexible that I fully get exactly why Aurora want them off the table.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also maybe a little bit of a protect ban so that you can kind of keep Freya in this. Luster was doing a really great job on that hero. And we do have the ban coming through for School of Rush. And, I mean, they're going to go ahead and ban out the Lucio. So you banned out the speed heroes on 2 maps here. And interesting. So, I mean, School of Rush were opting to run that Brig Juno composition. I anticipate that we're probably going to see that from them here again on Busan.
Yeah, certainly, you know, as we've talked about a little bit before, Control and Flashpoint play rather similarly to each other. Of course, you don't have that momentum that steamrolls you through 3 points, as you can see on Flashpoint, for example. You got that kind of, you know, soft reset in the middle once one round is over, moving on to the next there, but yeah, so there's still plenty of room for them to operate, but based on how we saw Suravasa go, yeah, Rain, I'm feeling like it is now, the ball's very much in School of Rush's court to bring this to Aurora. Aurora is back in what feels like their sort of playground.
Yeah, and so that Lucio ban, at least, you know, you're putting a bit of a disruption in that Lucio Kiriko backline that Aurora was running. But we did see them run this Juno Brig on Rialto as well, so they definitely can run it. And I mean, well, we are starting out on Mecha Base, so I suppose this is maybe not the map where you want to pull out the Wrecking Ball just to get things started. And honestly, this could potentially work in School of Rush's favor, because now you're kind of forcing this Orisa mirror once again, and you were kind of winning that out on Rialto here. We don't have any swaps coming in, so this is going to be the same roster for both sides that we got to just see on Rialto, and it's going to be essentially a mirror composition. We do have Wave back over on this Genji, and then Banana Shake coming out on the Tracer here.
Yeah, fully agree. This is definitely the sub-map that suits School of Rush best, so certainly their best foot forward here coming into Busan. Fish, though, falling low, has to play a bit more carefully here. You've got Dawes trying to dive in directly on them. Javelin being tossed out as the glowing green feet of both these Orisas means they're benefiting from those speed rings here. Despite no Lucio, they're still getting boosted through by the Juno on either side. Almost full mirror here, but you still have Wave on this Genji, as good as they've looked all series long. And Banana Shake now free to unleash the Tracer. Unfortunately, not as free if they're returning from spawn here, but with Tracer, that's such a quick run back for them to be sure. Point does get flipped first into School of Rush's favor, so they are finally bullying Aurora back in towards their own spawn here. So School of Rush were able to get that first control. Fish now holding the door against Dawes here, who still is warming into this Orisa pick, it has to be said, but Fish really feels like they're in their element.
Oh my goodness, yeah, Fish at 90% here. Gonna have that Terra Surge ready to go very, very quickly. Now, looking at these compositions, like you said, it's essentially a mirror, but okay. I mean, Aurora just, like, absolutely walked through that choke point. They could not be contained.
Yeah, as much as they're trying to hold the door, the second Fish takes his eyes off them, just not able to get anything as they fully barrel entirely through the team of School of Rush. But Aurora are able to clean themselves onto the objective here. School of Rush being taken apart one by one. Just a slight trickling here to get a bit more capture percentage in their favor, of course, ticking up much more slowly than on Flashpoint. So Aurora, now they're looking a bit more comfortable to be here in the driver's seat. Plenty of ults, almost a full 5-stack coming into this next one.
Yeah, it's gonna be an explosive point pressure here, but I was gonna say, looking at kind of the difference between these two compositions, where you have the Genji for Aurora and you have the Tracer for School of Rush. School of Rush need a little bit more time to kind of set up. We can see that Banana Shake is playing on this angle, whereas Wave more playing kind of with the tank, looking to finish those kills.
Dawes out with the Terra Surge, suctions everyone on into it. Hobo goes down immediately, but Wave is there to clean up an excellent surgery beneath those two teams there. Cleaned and as you please, as Fish has to take a bit of a dive into the foggy morning of Busan. That is all you're going to see from that push, as Aurora, they only have to spend 2 ults, which is pretty crucial in terms of maintaining your economy.
Yeah, I agree. Really nice cycling there. You still have both those DPS ultimates and this orbital to work with. Banana Rush on a little bit of an adventure here. You're going to put pressure on the point, hoping to just draw somebody back from Aurora to make space for School of Rush to push in.
Perseus falling low, has to get healed up there as both orbital rays come through. Nightingale and Hobo ready and sustaining the rest of the team, but Dawes finds Gala out pretty quick here. Baka unfortunately goes down as Empty is there to answer in the mirror. Banana Shake, yeah, assassinating as well. Really clear and happy to be back on this Tracer here so far. So much health rolling through from that rally coming out from Empty there. Really turns Tracer into such a devastating assassin of your backline.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Perseus, the Deadeye actually got stunned out there. The rally coming through from Empty, so canceling out that Deadeye from Aurora. Now, ult cycling, not looking quite as strong, but you do have that blade ready to go from Wave. The Terra Surge from Dawes will be online very shortly as well, but Fish already has that Terra Surge ready to go.
Yeah, we've got to be so careful. Was eating so much damage coming into the choke point there. Does get the kill onto Gala and Empty. Finally, 2 for 2 traded, though, as Banana Rush, ultless, is still just such a lethal character here on all the squishier targets of Aurora. Wave, though, again, they're really answering blow for blow, but that one goes right onto Banana Shake. So, having the final word in that duel, but Dawes is there to clean up Fish just in time. 87% is all School of Rush are going to get as Aurora tick back in their favor.
Oh, it's so back and forth here in School of Rush. I mean, you don't really have a whole lot to work with to try and push in. You have the Deadeye ready to go from Gala, but you're pushing into a Terra Surge and the potential rally coming online as well. So right now, I like what Banana Shake is doing on this Tracer. You're just putting pressure on point, and this is going to allow the Deadeye to come through and just force everybody from Aurora back.
Yeah, Gala's got that speedy Deadeye coming through, pushing everyone from Aurora off the high ground there as they are just able to force them all down, play around these different walls. There's no one able to touch. They did get pulled in on that Terra Surge. I will say that is sort of the way that fight was going to go. They certainly meant to touch on the side of School of Rush, but that was tactical play from Aurora. I am hesitant to call that a C9. I believe that is exactly according to plan for Aurora there. All credit to them until I see photographic evidence otherwise.
Yeah, no, I agree. That Terra Surge from Dawes really, really impactful. Pulling everybody, it was just in the right spot because you're just pulling everybody just off the point just a little bit. So really well positioned there, Aurora. And this is unfortunate for School of Rush because, like we said, Rags, that was really the submap that I think was going to favor School of Rush on this composition. And I mean, Aurora was feeling so good on this Orisa that you're just going to stick with it. So no changes to the hero pools from either of these teams as we head into Sanctuary. Now, Aurora looking like they want to get positioned kind of around this drum. Otherwise, School of Rush actually just kind of pushing down main here. So for Gala, Gala is in School of Rush over on the side here, and that's actually going to allow Gala to put in a lot of kind of poke damage into Aurora, who's essentially just kind of sitting out in the open trying to use the point itself as cover.
Yeah, you've got Dawes sort of just orbiting around these pillars here, and finally Fish wants to take the fight to them, answering back in kind here as both these Orisas just dueling over the objective itself. It's going to be whoever falls first. The rest of the team is going to be able to collapse around them. Perseus getting the better of Banana Shake there, having to face that natural counter that the Cassidy has always been to that Tracer. And out in the open, there's really nothing that she can do against that flashbang coming out of Perseus there. So yeah, well played by Aurora. They played their win conditions perfectly, and without that pressure, you can see just how immediately the floodgates open for Aurora.
Yeah, exactly, and you get the percentage building. Now you're going to go ahead and get set up kind of around this drum where you're a little bit more safe from any of the poke damage that School of Rush is putting in. And if you're School of Rush, I mean, you kind of have to disrupt Aurora from this this sideline. You can go rotate towards point, but you're still going to be looking at a whole lot of damage coming from the side. Dawes is already built up to this Terra Surge as well, so you got to be really careful if you're School of Rush because you don't quite have any ultimates online, and you've already used that speed ring, so that's not going to get you out of the Terra Surge.
No, and Banana Shake has switched onto a Genji of their own, so we are now in full mirror situation here. But Fish going down first, I mean, that spells immediate death knell for this fight from School of Rush. They can certainly try and make all the old charge they can off the back of this one, but yeah, Aurora are more than happy to spend nothing after they get that immediate kill onto the tank. Yeah, and they have to, that hurts so badly for School of Rush. So much momentum completely gone.
Exactly, and like you said, Rags, no ultimates committed there from Aurora, so at 5 on the board, as long as you know, they've done a really good job of cycling these ultimates, not kind of dumping everything all at once, so you anticipate that this could be kind of 2 fight wins in a row if they can chain it together, but School of Rush, you've got yourself on the point, and you do have some ultimates to work with for yourself.
Fish just eats so much damage coming on these engagements here. You've just got Perseus and Wave both staring directly at that headbox, the massive headbox of that Orisa there, as Fish pulls everyone in, gets Baka out, and finally cleans up onto Perseus, but unfortunately 3 kills on the side of Aurora onto School of Rush, and with only 90, we're ticking up towards 90% here on the objective. They have to stay alive now without being able to die earlier in this fight. That looks like it's going to be the last chance that School of Rush have to even get a chance to touch this objective here. All the heroics and all that timing, they died either too quickly or too slowly, judging by a matter of perspective here. And the blade comes out from Wave as that Deadeye, that high noon coming through from Gala, just not enough to zone anyone away here as Aurora just rolled directly over the remaining members, trickling in on the side of School of Rush here. Fish, in a very sad mirror of the earlier map in the series, back on the ball, but gets immediately booped down by Dawes. That is just going to be it. Aurora, I mean, blink and you miss it. This second round on Busan, like we said, Rain, the first round of Busan was really School of Rush's best chance to make this one work, and unfortunately, they were not able to clinch it out at the last second. In Aurora, I mean, the cards were just fully stacked in their favor the longer we went into this.
Yep, absolutely agree, and it's unfortunate. School of Rush, it was a good fight there, and Rialto looked really nice, but yeah, once you move into Busan, I mean, we kind of touched on it about, like, playing Flashpoint map, but, I think that the School of Rush just really kind of fumbled when it came to regrouping and trying to get as many fights in as you possibly can, like, come that last point. Unfortunately, just kind of getting staggered out, and Aurora really capitalizing on whenever a mistake was kind of made by School of Rush. Whenever Fish found themselves just a little bit too forward, everybody's turning and shooting down that Orisa. So excellent job from Aurora to kind of pick that up, and yeah, I'm super impressed with this team, and we were wondering kind of who was going to win out over these, like, 2 middle-of-the-pack teams. And I gotta say, Rags, I mean, we did get pretty close match we were hoping for.
No, without question there, Rialto was beautifully close between these two teams. We saw with as good as Aurora looked opening up here, it still has to be said, there were plenty of moments on Saravasa where School of Rush looked like they had the chance to bring things under their control, and just they were able to open things up on Rialto, but unfortunately cleaning things up there at the end, Aurora just kind of had, and especially on that same Orisa comp too, on that final map, really put themselves up head and shoulders. Looking at our MVP for the series as we dive into this here, and speaking of dives, it's got to be the one and only Wave coming through with those blades, but even without those blades, just able to put in so much pressure onto not just the backline, but onto the tank. I mean, Rain, think of how many fights that Fish was the first one to go down. That is in no small part because of Wave's immense pressure. Just absolute aimbot abilities here with those shurikens, with those dash resets. Beautiful play, well supported by the rest of the team, but really standing head and shoulders above the rest here.
Yep, absolutely agree. Really well done on this, Genji. The blades were awesome. The dry fights were awesome. The deflects were fantastic as well. So, yeah, well deserved for the MVP of Aurora. Now, we will take a quick look over at the standings right now, since we've had this match kind of updated here over in this Birch conference. This is going to put Aurora up in that 3rd seed right now. School of Rush, though, you know, close behind. Now, there are still matches to be completed. But this isn't too bad, setting yourself up here. The 3-1, I mean, Aurora putting themselves there with, you know, the other top 2 teams in terms of the match scores.
Yeah, certainly looking like a really solid top 3 team, well deserved at this stage of the game here in School of Rush. I think this certainly does bear very much resemblance to where these teams ought to be right now, especially, of course, in the conversation they were just able to have between them here on this match here. So I would love to see Aurora continue to climb. In School of Rush, they just need to improve a little bit upon, you know, their weaknesses, but honestly, a really strong showing from them, and I think they could easily play gatekeeper to the lower teams here in the standings and easily make themselves a strong run into the playoffs once it comes time for those.
Yes, absolutely agree. And Well, we see a couple of the teams there, so we'll take a look at some of the teams that are going to be playing later on tonight as we take a look at these matches. So a whole bunch of matches starting at that 8 p.m., but we're going to do our very best to get those all covered. And on here on the B stream or the A stream, it is going to be Seal the Deal and Camp Half Court up next, but at the same time, we'll have the B stream and the C stream starting as well. So lots more matches to be seen at 8 Eastern, then 9 Eastern, a couple more as well. So lots more Overwatch to be seen here on BPL tonight.
You know the drill, folks. Pull up 2 extra tabs on Twitch and just have all 3 running at the exact same time so you can be fully immersed in BPL action. You don't want to miss a single second of these matches here. That is going to do it for this first match of the night, but there's plenty more to come. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hi folks, welcome back to BPL. As we promised, the action just keeps on rolling through here on the A stream. We've got yet another game for you, this time between Seal the Deal and Camp Half Court. So it's Rags and Irrelevant bringing you all of the action here. Really excited for this one coming up here.
Yeah, I'm too, especially as we were talking just before it started. I have not seen Seal the Deal play. I'm ready to see how they play, see what their strengths and weaknesses are. Camp Half Court I've seen play last week. I've seen a little bit here and there, so I'm excited to see how this matchup goes.
Yeah, of course, between these two teams, you looking at exactly, what they've been doing so far in the season. Camp Half Court is looking a little bit more in favor. They've got one win to their name, but Seal the Deal, unfortunately, have not been able to get one. So tonight is their chance to sort of take care of that loss streak coming through so far. So this is their opportunity. This is their chance. Both these teams have played a couple of the same teams coming forward as we have here in the Ash division here. Yes, in our A. So looking at it, we've got Smoggles, of course, Corrupted Guys on the top of the pile. And yeah, right now we're looking at Camp Half Court and Seal the Deal, both of whom in our 7th and 8th seed. No, in our 7th and 8th spot at least. No sugarcoating that. So really it is now a dogfight between the two of them to see who can climb up the rankings here and who is going to be forced to stay back down where they go.
Yesterday we were watching, Zephyr and them, Zephyr bottom, and I have the same exact advice for Seal the Deal. You have to at least come away with a map win at the least, just to get on that map differential to a somewhat of a positive note. So I think that's there should be the main focus. Main focus should be winning, and of course sweeping, but at the minimal, take a map in your own advantage.
Yeah, without question. They certainly need to have, a level of confidence coming into this. Going down with 3 losses already to your name, that can be a bit of an uphill climb coming into this. You really want to maintain, a level of composure amongst yourself. You don't want to be making any mistakes. Any single match, yes, could be another loss to your record, but it could also be the one that turns it around for you. You really have to look at it in a positive sense. We're still relatively early in Season 7 here for BPL, so there's plenty of room, plenty of time to sort of make some further forays into the standings here, so they can hopefully make a little bit more progress. But looking at the team itself, here we have Seal the Deal on the DPS line. We've got Kartik and Bonder, and then Angelo Lagusa, Riptide as your tank line, rounding out that. But with the support line as well, you've got RMM, the Bakery, and FML there. So yeah, pretty well rounded in terms of swaps. Of course, the DPS line is going to be able to rotate through, but you've got 2 options for tanks, 3 for support. A lot of options here available for Seal the Deal.
Yeah, definitely different comps. I see Riptide run Diva, so I assume more dive centric, with probably FML as where I'll be in that line with Angelo. Have RMM because you have more of a brawl comp. So definitely different comps depending on your maps. They'll definitely have a game plan going into this and how they want to play it out.
Yep, now on the side of Camp Half Court, looking at their roster, we've got Gallant and Sky on the DPS line, Greninja and Evil for your tank players there, Silvertulls, Dorito, and Paul. Honestly, very similar in terms of your flexibility, in terms of how you can rotate through your players here. Almost the exact same, spread here. These are looking at the favored roles of each of our players here. So despite any flexibility outside of these, certainly plenty of room for that. And of course, as early as we are in the season, plenty of room to get your players some play time here. But yeah, you'll get a lot of the same levels of flexibility between these two rosters here. So I'm really excited. That really should indicate that there should be a good level of competition between these two.
Yes, and what I saw last week, Greninja will be a threat, I think, to Seal the Deal here as their tank. And move on to the bans. He still takes bans Lucio. And Camp Half Court takes out Ram. So, I mean, that helps both sides, I guess, in the sense of maybe their key players. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, since we're diving into Esperanza for our first map, we do have, the map set already done and dusted, already clear for these teams here. So without the Lucio speed, that is going to narrow your options a lot coming in to a push map here. And without Ramatra, that certainly does feel like a ban that really plays against your opponent's strengths here. Ram can play so well on these particular maps here, but if you feel like, especially on the side of Camp Half Court, Greninja's got a lot of flexibility, just like you were saying. So I think a single ban on the Ramatra, on a map like Esperanza, where you can play a lot of different compositions, shouldn't hurt them too much and should do a lot more to sort of keep Seal the Deal, in a more observable, a more obvious composition.
Yeah, and I think going into this Esperanza, it's definitely going to be positional. You can't, you can run the Juno Brig, right, have some speed, but it's definitely going to be, people are going to be staying on top of each other. There might be some, off angles taken, but I think these teams are going to be very more core-centric as one, move as one unit as a whole. If they find an off angle, that's great. I do think, though, these teams will find that out and either take advantage of that or flush them out very fast.
Yeah, certainly expect to see, I would anticipate Juno coming out from both these rosters without the Lucio in the mix. That does mean your only chance of speeding your entire team, apart from a Junker Queen Shout, who herself is a possibility from both these teams here. We've got Evil in on the tank line on the side of Camp Half Court and Riptide on the side of Seal the Deal here. So that sort of narrows your options in terms of, which tank we're going to be looking at here. Looking at the Winston dive for Camp Half Court. I really love this composition here, especially alongside the Sojourn and the Tracer. An excellent sort of pincer dive are able to work with there. And Paul Atreides on a Lifeweaver Pig swaps over to the Ana. All right, that's more like we're expecting here. Ana Brig, tried and tested, well done down through the years. On the side of Seal the Deal, Riptide on that Diva, and you've got Kartik on the brand new Freya.
Yes, I think this Freya has limited range, so it'd be very easy to get, just play height and get these picks in Sojourn. Definitely keep that Sojourn contained on height. Might be able to push him off high ground here.
Yeah, Vonder's going to be looking to try and shut down Evil at all possible opportunities, trying to find all those backgrounds onto Paul Atreides and Dorito there in the backline. Of course, Dorito playing bodyguard for that Ana. You do have Seal the Deal here on this Brig Juno backline. So yeah, where their team is going to play a little bit more concerted, at least when you've got Kartik and Riptide here on the front line, as Camp Half Court are trying to put so much pressure in, and Riptide, doing their best to answer back damage-wise, but just eating so much coming through. And Evil, of course, all that Tesla cannon damage, not much a Diva can do about that. But RMM is still trying to play bodyguard as much as they can to Kartik there on the high ground, and that hack coming through, Vonder's going to be so annoying here as Gallant falls dangerously low, does get healed up by the backline. Paul and Dorito both doing their best, but unfortunately it's not enough there as Vonder is able to get the best of them. Paul Atreides, though, is still there, still alive and kicking. That Ana still very lethal in the right hands, and Paul's certainly are those. You've got, of course, Kartik building up all the way towards this bola shot already. That Freya passive of the final blows getting you bonus ult charge. Massive here. They're going to have the first ult ready to go into this fight here as Riptide takes Evil out. That's going to be a retreat called for Camp Half Court.
That's a stagger right there, and they might get the Brig. They do. So both supports are staggered now, giving, that gives Seal the Deal a lot of space here just to make up time on that push spot. I think Riptide's just going to hold close and just try to keep them from diving in. Maybe, I assume Evil will try to get through. He might be able to catch out Gallant on the Sojourn here.
Yeah, certainly have to play a bit more carefully there as you're just eating these explosive bolts coming in immediately, burning recall instantly there for Dilax there on the Tracers. So not at all exactly how you want to play, but we've just seen how lethal Freya can be throughout the course of the series. Despite this minor nerfs that came through just about a week or so ago, not enough to stop her from being played so consistently, putting in so much damage coming through as Riptide able to get back into mech there after that self-destruct used, but RMM is ready to go with this rally whenever necessary. Femel does have the orbital ray going over the high ground here, so Seal the Deal able to get sustained, but as that dissipates, you've got the rally coming through on the high ground for Dorito, is able to just stay alive here. 8 health and a dream, can you believe? Well, Dorito can, and that's all that matters at this point, as Evil does land directly on top of RMM. Riptide D-Mech, this time no chance to get back into it. And so all this effort being done here, Relevant, all of this, work, all this fight over just a couple meters of space here, as it looks like Camp Half Court are going to be able to more than meet the percentage here.
Which is good. Camp Half Court had the right mentality of just holding and keeping no space given. They knew off the bat, like, hey, we have to, bot is objective is main priority here in distance. Killing is not always big priority. So they're doing well as keeping just space close. And right now, you see, Seal the Deal has to come back now and do the same thing. And hopefully, Camp Half Court has the ult advantage on him. So maybe some EMP does come out. Wow. That's a great first pick.
Vonder lets loose that EMP, and that virus immediately wipes Gallant off the face of the earth there, as Evil, though, does have that Primal Rage rolling through, takes Femel out. So, of course, you're not going to be able to get out in any bit of a hurry here without that Juno. RMM has to play a lot more carefully here, able to whip shot as best as they can against that diving Winston coming all the way through. Vonder, dangerous, does get out with their life here just for a moment, but Riptide and RMM are both being spotted out here. You've got Gallant, Dillax, and Evil all conjuncting here on to the back line as they're just falling dangerously low, and Kartik does not want to be this close to the enemy here. They can toss in all those rapid fire bolts they want, but with that shield in their face, Evil's just able to hold them at bay.
Yeah, I mean, Dillax definitely looking for a pulse bomb here. Gallant again out. Ola comes out. Good. Almost got Anna. Almost got the Ana. Break Dash comes out, gets one. Juno gets a trade. Maybe Tulio can take this? I don't think so. I think by numbers they're even. In concerns of tank, they're up.
Yeah, having Evil there, able to rotate between that high ground and low ground so comfortably, of course, exactly what that Winston was designed to do. And Dillax, yeah, just getting so much excellent cleanup kills here, as you do have Riptide and RMM with the ultimates on the side of Seal the Deal, but Camp Half Court, I mean, they're about to have 3 of their own with Evil, another Primal Rage almost ready to go.
I mean, Gallant is itching to use Overclock here. He's held it for like 4 fights, not being able to do anything with it. So just so much space getting just consumed by Seal Deal here. Gallant's itching to use it. Dillax used Pulse Bomb, comes out and gets eaten by D.Va. OC comes out and is just firing at this D.Va. Might get D.Va's D-Mech. Nerf comes out. Another Pulse Bomb. Pulse Bolt.
Yeah, another crossbow just laying directly onto the chest. They're getting stuck with that and exploding. Yeah, certainly have to watch out for all that damage coming through. That's why one of the reasons Frey has been just so absolutely devastating here throughout all levels of play. But you do have plenty of kills coming through on the side of Seal the Deal. So those 2 early ults used, as you called out, just not able to get an incredible amount of value for Camp Half Court there. And Seal the Deal able to answer back and spend very little for their trouble.
Yeah, I think OC is going to be very hard to use here. I think overall as a character, Sojourn is a good pick. But OC, I mean, you have Brig with a shield. You have D.Va with, the Matrix. You have an invisible Sombra running around all the time. You have a flying Frey all the time. I mean, it's going to be hard to get someone in and out without being pressured by someone else on the other team.
Yeah, seeing Gallant swap over onto this Venture is exactly what we want to see coming into this fight. Still falls low, though, has to watch out, but Paul and Dorito getting taken down first. I mean, honestly, at that point, the bullet shot kind of feels cosmetic at that point. The rest of the team was able to just pincer so effectively, but Evil's still alive, does get the kill into RMM. It doesn't seem like it's going to amount to much in the end, as Vonder is still alive, gets that final kill onto Evil. Camp Half Court, I mean, yeah, they're in the ult building phase, but it's looking pretty good for Seal the Deal.
Yeah, I mean, you have Bomb coming up, you have Rally, you have Orbital. I mean, anything on the other side is just looks like Pulse Bomb and maybe Nano. There comes that Orbital, and it's got the run. I mean, they're just gonna have to kite this.
Yeah, Rain being dropped down from Femel, you really just can't fight into that, so they just decide not to there. But Vonder is still putting so much pressure in. It feels like Evil is just not able to get anything done. They've got that Sombra harassing them at all points here, and Dillax is built up towards another Pulse Bomb. Hopefully this one does not get eaten, but Seal the Deal. I mean, they've just been pushing this bud. You've got RMM there, raiding with the rally, just encouraging TS1 to get as much distance, and they're about to match.
He gets Vander, which is pretty good. Also did come out, got no one with it, but he still got a pick off in the end. So good entry pick there by Dillax. And now, I mean, this is going to push card, and Seal Deal's just going to kite a little bit, regroup. So, I see what happens. I mean, if they can time EMP with Bomb here and just get rid of that Winston shield, I think they get some good value out of that.
Yeah, Nano comes through onto Evil. Paul ready to let that loose, does Nano themselves in the process. The benefits of those perks certainly being felt here as Gallant does roll through. Does get taken down by Riptide, but it looks as though enough damage has been done. And yeah, Riptide has to head back to spawn, try to get out with their mech intact here. Does have the ultimate to come back into it should they get demech, but unfortunately, despite all that distance gained on the side of Seal the Deal, they were not able to match that progress from Camp Half Court. And yeah, they know, Camp Half Court understand they do not need to keep pushing this bot. They are in the driver's seat right now with a minute and a half left. All they need to do is maintain holding position.
Yeah, because that's the end of the game. Push, and they have to come to you. No matter how you put it, they have to come to your side of the map at some point. So you can just keep holding ground, And I mean, if you're able to get some chip damage, some poke kills here and there, you'll be in pretty good shape, I think, with Kevin half-court.
Yeah, look for Vonder. Hungry to use that EMP, lays it down directly onto the high ground as Dorito gets melted there, as the rest of Seal the Deal are able to follow up on that massive depletion in health. The backline goes down for Camp Half Court. Again, they're not too bothered about losing these fights. You know, they get some distance. They do slightly increase their push range here, meterage at least, but with under a minute left to go, that's such a massive distance for the bot to swing back in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, Camp Half Court's just, like you said, okay with not winning these fights. They're okay with just wasting time here, because Seal the Deal has to make up for it. If there's a minute-long team fight, I mean, Seal the Deal has to now make up a minute of time, both the complete other direction now. Wow, and Freya's out. Kortlik is the first one out, and it's going to Kite around the corner.
Yeah, really not being able to use this Bola shot. They've been holding on to it for a few fights now at this point. It feels like we keep coming back to the same fight starting around this corner here. You know, for all the chance that Seal the Deal get at winning these fights, there's just such strong high ground control here for Camp Half Court. Evil is able to pass between so handily here, and with Paul able to get sort of sightlines on everybody, both on the enemy side and on their own, there's really no one who is, you know, free. No one is out of their sightlines there. Practically like having a constant, you know, healer's tack visor functionally at all points. And that Bola shot goes a bit wide for Kartik there. All you had was Paul able to hide behind those crenellations on the high ground. Nano comes through onto Evil, but Dorito falling down to Vonder does present an opening here for Seal the Deal. Unfortunately, though, Dilak's still alive. The kill does come through as we're trading blow for blow here, but it looks as though with Evil still with this Primal Rage, yeah, that is going to be enough to clean this one here. That Tracer and Winston combo, a tale as old as Overwatch itself. And despite the come through with the Diva Bond, it's just not enough as Evil gets a kill on Devonder once again. Looks as though Dilax is just able to land kill after kill, and the two of them are just absolutely devastating here, doing some evil behavior, it has to be said, on behalf of their tank. Camp Half Court looks solid. We're in the driver's seat the entire time. Seal the Deal, not able to stand up to it.
Yeah, I mean, at the very end, as you've seen, they were all just, you know, like you said, going blow for blow, and somewhere in there, Camp Half Court got the edge, even though they were kind of, you know, playing both sides of the bot. I think Seal the Deal there was playing just one side of the bot. Instead of, I get Winston has a bit easier to go back and forth and just turn around. With Diva, same distance, but I mean, you have a Tracer or Sombra there. I mean, there's not much you can go out. They have to 1v1. No one is going to get one of those guys out without one of them doing something against the other team.
Yeah, without question. So a well fought at times there from Seal the Deal. I mean, again, we mentioned it in the map itself, but they did get very close with that solid push. You know, they made it. They got the cap coming through of that, you know, earlier, that forward spawns were activated for them. But unfortunately, that massive early lead that Camp Half Court were able to get, and that's just kind of the way that push has always worked, where if you get such a large lead to start off, it is almost impossible for the opposing team to really match that. And as we got to see at the end there, Camp Half Court barely had to push. All they had to do was maintain that holding pattern. And there was really very little compositionally that Seal the Deal could do. You know, once you could hide behind that high ground, no one could shift Paul and Dorito from that spot, barring, you know, a Sombra teleport directly on top of their heads.
Yeah, no, because, like, again, they held that choke point on their own side of the map. So, yeah, the name of the game is push. You got to get to the other side. Time wasting is crucial for whoever has the lead, because team fights happen, ults get used, and let's say like goes to the win, team fight goes to OT, and it goes to the other side. Studio could have used 3 ults that fight, and Camp Half Court could have used none. Well, next fight you automatically are on the back foot, being the last team fight, and now you're down on ult usage. So it comes down to being kind of cautious of what you use, how you use it, and you got to keep time management as a top priority.
Absolutely. And looking into our next map of the series, it is going to be Route 66. So between these two teams here, I mean, honestly, you know, despite the difference, of course, in map style itself between Push and Escort, there's a lot of similarity, a lot of, you know, congruity between Esperanza and Route 66. You've got these incredibly long sight lines. You've got these high ground controls where, you know, the defense, so to speak, which you don't technically have on Push. Yeah. But if you get, you know, Evil, Paul, Atreides, and Dorito onto those sort of like high grounds, you know, on defense, whether it's the gas station or all that high ground in points B and C, I mean, that is the very definition of an uphill fight for Seal the Deal. So I really want to see them play spoiler in some way to this composition. They need to find an answer to this Winston comp, whether that's through bans or whether that's through just sheer force of will in their own composition.
Yeah, and speaking of bans, Camp Half Court, they don't have a real target to ban. Because the Freya, I mean, yeah, Freya was being a little bit much here and there with pressure, but other than that, wasn't doing much. The D.Va, again, not doing too much of being a threat. The most person that's being a threat on the other side of them was maybe Sombra with the EMP. On the other end of things, with for Seal Deal, oh, they banned Hazard Tank. Okay. I was going to say, yeah, the tank would be your big issue there. It would have been your big issue.
Yeah, so getting Hazard off the table, does provide a benefit, but as we saw, Evil looks just so comfortable on that Winston. I would not be surprised to see them stick on it. Of course, you do kind of favor Hazard a little bit more in sort of like the flexibility to go between the brawl and the dive that you want to have here on Route 66, but I mean, Winston's been played on this map since the dawn of Overwatch. That is not at all a stretch to continue on with here, so I don't know if that was the right call from Seal the Deal. I mean, maybe they feel like a Hazard is even more dangerous to them, so they don't even want to risk it, but it certainly feels like a lose-lose situation. Whereas, yeah, Camp, as you suggest there, Relevant, bans that Sombra out. That is kind of the only real thorn they had in their side. Those EMPs were massive, and that was the really only answer that they were able to have to really clean up the backline, especially for Camp Half Court. So without that, that is certainly going to put quite a damper on, Seal the Deal's attempts at, making aggression happen here.
Yeah. And, of course, there has to be a sub out, so we'll see what these new lineups are like. But I still think Camp Half Court will go with a heavy dive comp. It's always, again, like you said, Winston's been like the known tank to go with, so it'll definitely be a dive comp team. Seal the Deal has to play a bit more cautious poke. Now they just have to worry about, the whole team flooding their back line. But if they can stay as a group, like you said, on gas station, maybe have an off flank there when you turn the corner back corner, they can dig something up and keep control of space. But I do think, no matter which side you're on, when they're both on offense, they're both going to run a heavy dive comp here.
Yeah, you kind of really need it coming into these, incredible long sight lines, these high grounds available to the defending side here. And we do have a couple swaps coming through on the side of Seal the Deal. Angelo is in for Riptide on the tank line, and Bakery is in for Vonder. So that Sombra ban, I mean, if that was Vonder's role to play, that's really not going to affect them too much. So that's honestly a bit of a mark in their favor for Seal the Deal here. And yeah, so you often would see D.Va as kind of like being the answer to Winston, but as we got to see on Esperanza, Riptide really just couldn't hold a candle to the Winston being played by Evil there. So hopefully Angelo's got a bit of a better answer to this. I mean, certainly seeing something like the Orisa, something that can really shut down this dive capability that has been kind of the backbone so far of Camp Half Court, I think is exactly where Seal the Deal want to, butter their bread.
Yes, for sure. I mean, Angelo's still looking out with the D.Va pick right now. So it looks similar, just different DPS lineup this time around. And same with Half Court. Same, except just a Widow. That's like the only difference. So, I mean, see if Gallant can get something going here with the Widow here. That'd be great. Especially on this, on attack. Could have been an issue coming around this corner. You might get pressured up by that Genji. But, I mean, you can just sell it back and just, shoot for free. No one's going to take his dive in backline.
Yeah, you've got Famil here on the Juno as well, alongside RMM on that Brig. So again, that back line, which hopefully can be a little bit more, consistent, a little bit more stable here for Seal the Deal in the second match of the series. Gallant, after a brief pick on the Widow, just swaps directly back over to that Sombra, which again, as you mentioned in the last map here, Relevant, certainly does not want to be playing into this D.Va here. As good as Gallant looked on it, they just were able to not get as much work as you want. So I think, probably seeing Riptide swap out, they might have not imagined they were seeing the D.Va here. So we'll see if they decide to swap into it. But of course, if Evil just gets all that work done by diving onto the high ground, taking both Kartik and Bakery out, I mean, everyone else on the team can kind of play whatever they want as long as Evil's here on that Winston.
Yeah. And, I mean, if they get 3 on here, they might be able to take just the first point in the first team fight. I mean, the only person to touch is the D.Va. Maybe the Genji, if Genji gets there fast enough. Because they only have speed ring. There's no Lucio speed here. Just pure speed ring. Angelo does get a touch. So team fight does restart. Maybe Cortec can get a pick. The damage. Ooh, RM is first to fall.
Yeah, they are going to fight this out, and that's exactly kind of what you want to see. I mean, letting that go would just feel absolutely terrible here with over 5 minutes on the clock, which it feels like we're still going to get anyway. You know, they go for the engage, but unfortunately, yeah, blink and you miss it. It's just not enough here as Evil is able to just clean up. And Camp Halfcourt have built up to a couple ultimates here, but Seal the Deal, they have not been in this long enough to build up towards much of anything.
No, and you see Angelo coming on the Winston to match the Winston. Raz Diva was not it. I mean, Camp Halfcourt already has Pulse Bomb. They're coming up with on Rampage. I mean, maybe Nano probably soon. On the side, I mean, next best thing you got is Orbital, but still you're 30 out, so you're definitely down on that ult usage there.
Yeah, and you've got Evil diving in onto the high ground, essentially forcing the entirety of Seal the Deal off it, and Kartik gets taken down as the Primal Rage rolling through for Evil. Yeah, this really just feels like there's nothing that Seal the Deal can do. You've got essentially your tank 1v3ing on the high ground, and there's really no answer apart from RMM trying their best to shield bash and whip shot them off, but, you know, the great thing about Winston, you could just dive right back onto it, no trouble whatsoever, nothing to worry about, and with that Primal Rage, I mean, there's really nothing that they have to answer for it, especially with that ultimates, just like you were saying. So RMM swaps over to the Kiriko, and again, just like on point A, they're gonna touch, but it's not gonna be pretty.
No, I do think that Cortic or definitely needs to stay with their sports gear, because I mean Evil's just just gonna keep walking back line on them, and now they're out of the fight. I mean, there's one. They might be able to get that Juno out. Again, no. He gets one with the blade.
Yeah. Nano, and you might as well honestly just use it because you're going to build up to another one quick enough as it goes, although with as fast as this map has been going so far on the offense, Camp Halfcourt might not even get Paul Atreides up to another one here. Rally rolling as well, you spend some ults, so that is a bit of an investment there for Camp Halfcourt. If you're Seal the Deal, this is kind of your best opportunity. Of course, you do have, we've got the zoom coming in, yep. Ah, yes, the pineapple pizza, of course. Gotta recognize it wherever you see it, but this is kind of Seal the Deal's best chance to really have a nice neutral fight here, apart from, of course, Gallant's Overclock, which without that Diva, it's a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, nice. You Bakery go. Tracers will have Tracer ones. Playing, you know, pressing chip damage. You know, play until Pulse Bomb maybe finds someone out of position. But Galan again has OC, and probably ready to use it come around this corner if they get enough space. I mean,
yeah, Angelo and Evil both building up towards this Primal Rage here. You do have Fmel on the high ground, and of course RMM ready to build up towards that Kitsune Rush as well. The massive overclock coming through, that 150% charge there, perk allowing for Gallant to get so much potential damage on these rail shots while in that ultimate. But unfortunately, everyone is just sort of heading for the hills, and it turns out they're being pushed at the hills by Evil, who is just an absolute masterclass here, pushing all those juggling mechanics on that Primal Rage. I mean, yeah, you kind of have to look at your teammate and go, hey, Gallant, I'm sorry you kind of used your ultimate there. I was busy killing the rest of the team.
Yeah, sorry you had to make him go hide away, but it worked in Neil's favor. They all hit around the truck, and he got Rage and just took him out, and wow, great Pulse Bomb by Deluxe there, just cancels OC on the other side. I'm about to have Nano here, so he's probably gonna Nano Evil. Oh, no Gallant this time, okay.
Yeah, it turns out the Sojourn was correct. This ends now, but just not in the way that you'd think. But the Bakery does get the Pulse Bomb land, get the kill onto Evil. Dilax falling down as well. This is finally the chance at the very last with 1 meter to go. It looks as though Seal the Deal are finally going to hold the door for just a moment here. With under 3 minutes on the clock. All right, they now have a chance to breathe. They have swapped themselves onto another comp yet again. Maybe not the best synergy between, but this is at least something. Famel's going to come back in with the Nano. This is a chance. They have an ult where Camp Halfcourt does not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the synergy this team with Ram is the best, but I think if he uses his shield right, he'd definitely protect his backline from that dive. Especially is on him, because Kiri has a teleportation. I mean, Famel just has to not miss the leap. Figanov hits it. I didn't have to say nothing. He just hits it first try. No commentators, Chris over here.
Nope, heard you and exactly went for it there, keeping the rest of the team alive and kicking as Kartik does get the better of Paul Atreides, so not able to build up towards that next Nano here anytime soon. Having Angelo here on the low ground, able to sort of hold off this massive sightline that is Point C here on Route 66. Honestly, really crucial, and the Bakery and Kartik are able to play around to their strengths here, able to get those assassination kills wherever they possibly can. I mean, Seal the Deal, they're looking okay so far, but Camp Halfcourt, now they build up towards ultimates. This is the fight they've been waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, Rally, we have Rally in the in the pocket, about to have Pulse Bomb in the pocket. I mean, if they can get one entry pick with this Pulse Bomb, I think they could rally point and take it from them. Just comes down to if Steelix can find someone out of position here.
Yeah, landing a Bionade onto the back line. You've got Paul Atreides still building up towards that next nano, as Femel does have one of his own ready to go. Angelo still rotating around as best as they can. Does benefit from that nano as Kartik does go through with the overclock. It is enough to get Gallant out of the fight. So finally, it is their overclock that is getting the benefit, and the opposite not so much here. As Dilax and Evil doing their best, but have to head for the hills here, just getting out with their life, as Evil will have another Primal coming to this next one, but forcing Gallant to swap here onto the Freya. Okay, so Seal the Deal are finally making moves and forcing changes out of Camp Half Court. Honestly, I see that as a mark of respect, as an indication that, yeah, they do want to finish this map.
Yeah. I mean, Seal Deal doing great. You know, they had, what, like 4 summons on the clock, and they've held them down now to less than a minute with this last push. So, if they can hold them here with nothing, I mean, it'll be great. Nano comes out, Rampage right out here, trying about to pop out. Maybe if he can stay alive, Remoto might come out. But Anna's getting tossed around in that back corner.
Yeah, the sleep onto Evil gets woken up just a little bit too soon, and of course with the rest of the back line down, I mean, Angelo can do their very best here, trying to roll with this Annihilation, but there's nothing able to sustain you through it here, and the best you can do is just raise those arms and move forward towards the payload, but the Camp Half Court is so alive and kicking here. The Bionade lands onto Dilax. They immediately recall just to reverse the effects of that. Has the Pulse Bomb ready to go to clean this one up, but they're not even going to need it here, as the rest of Seal the Deal unfortunately bullied back into spawn, despite some heroics and taking the timer all the way down to 0. It has to be said on the defense. But Camp Half Court are able to complete the map here, so not as bad as it could have been. I mean, like that feels like faint praise here, Relevant, but that could have been so much worse for Seal the Deal.
No, that's right. I mean, Seal Deal should have the mentality and the morals of going to this the attacking side and be like, okay, they kind of ran us down the first and second point. We finally got a hold. We've held them to basically an OT timer. If anything, they should of course want to full stomp on the first 2 points as well. But they need to have a minute or more on that clock if they push it all the way to the end. Their main thing here is winning these team fights, kind of using their ults together, as well as just getting to the very end with more time on the clock than Camp Half Court to have a good chance at the overtime play to come out on top.
Yeah, the main course, of course, finishing the map. The cherry on top would be finishing it with that minute in the bank, just as you say. Yeah, that would be ideal, of course, for this team. But they certainly proven with that hold there on the defense, burning down the clock. I think they have it in them by some degrees here. It is going to be difficult. I will not sugarcoat that by any means, especially with Evil here on the defense on this Wrecking Ball. I mean, so many teams can run so afoul of Wrecking Ball here. Such a dangerous assassin in the backline, and much harder to deal with than, for example, Dilax here on the Tracer. Tracer, of course, has the recall, but Wrecking Ball has a health pool that is multiple times higher than a Tracer, so you really cannot count out the assassination potential there. Angelo back onto the Diva, and Kartik here onto the Freya again as well. We've seen them favor this on the last map so far, so we'll see if this continues on, if they're able to outrange Gallant here, eating a bunch of damage as they come in on the aggression, as Kartik getting a bunch of ult charge to start off.
Yeah, I mean, with this Zen Brig backline, I mean, it helps having Ball as tank. You don't have to worry about him as much when it comes to healing. They'll just output so much damage to the point where they have to back off. Ball can look for something in the backline and just keep him at bay. Ball's asleep in backline. Maybe he probably get out. But, I mean, Diva has to look at this gas station and just flush out Brig and or Zen off high ground here. That way someone can get a pick on this high ground.
Yeah, this is the most dangerous position for the defense to be in here. Seal the Deal, no, they've got to find a way onto it, just as you say. But unfortunately, with Femel going down, Dilax able to just put so much pressure onto the backline. I mean, there's no chance for them to breathe, to even think about getting to the high ground when they're being harassed from all angles by this pincer team, being put in by the Tracer, by the Wrecking Ball. And of course, you've got Gallant tossing rail shots in, body shots, dome shots. Anything is absolutely lethal at this distance. But Kartik has already built up towards that bolo shot, of course, the benefit of that passive from the Freya. So this could be the ult to open things up, as they've got their eyes set on the high ground.
Yeah, I mean, good bola. I mean, Divas has to clean that up. D.Va could definitely get something out of this. Take height. I mean, Briggs just come out. And a pile drive by Evo there on the backline DPS. I mean, it's just, yeah, like you said, Rags. I mean, having just Tracer and ball on your backline is just going to be annoying. Like, because there's nothing you can do to stop it. I mean, Sombra, but Sombra's banned. I mean, maybe Torb, but I mean, you're on offense here. Torb isn't really going to be efficient. Like, your backline safe if you have to constantly keep moving forward.
Yeah, certainly in a difficult situation. I do not envy the back line or front line, has to be said, of Seal the Deal here. But we really need to see them confirming on those kills. You know, going in on the back of that bola shot, we really need to see Angelo able to get the at least take off the high ground available to Paul Atreides on that Zen, Dorito on that Brig on the back line there. But as the minefields laid down, you know, over this corner here, Seal the Deal are being forced back. Angelo eating so much damage here as RMM is doing their best to keep them alive, trying to clean those mines off. But even that's just buying so much time for them as we are down to a minute 15 on the clock here for Seal the Deal, and they have not even kept point A just yet.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Dilex just pushed the entire team back to the spawn room by himself. That's what a threat this Tracer is being to his backline, especially this ball. But yeah, like you said, a minute left to at least get to the first point, and they have the ults. They have the whole team has ult. Here comes Nano, Riley comes out.
Yeah, forcing rally, good. Of course, finding that Dorito can deal with you pretty easily there, but finally, yes, able to turn around as Angelo gets the better of Paul. Not able to let loose with that Transcendence. I don't know if they didn't think they were going to need it or just ate so much damage so fast that just not able to let loose at any point there. And Kartik gets the better of Gallant, of course, but Bakery falling down is just, you know, going to slow them down for only a second, but RMM and Angelo are still alive and kicking, still putting in so much work there on the front line. Finally, Seal the Deal at the 11th hour, able to crack things open, but with, you know, this distance that is still available to them, Camp Half Court is still going to get a chance to touch.
Yeah, I mean, even that whole team fight, Seal Deal didn't move Cart far, maybe a meter or two, but now they're finally actually get some distance. But the whole team's back. Camp Half Court, the entire team is ready to come back into this team fight, and they have four. It looks like going to be 4 ults coming in this fight.
Yeah, have to play this so carefully on the side of Seal the Deal. RMM lets loose with an early rally here. I don't know whether to save it for later or not. Unfortunately, as it dissipates, Gallant is there with the overclock. Yeah, turns out 4 just happens to be a bigger number than 1. Camp Half Court spends their entire arsenal of ultimates, and as the overtime wick burns down, one tiny spark at a time. Unfortunately, only a spark is all we get to see from Seal the Deal here as Camp Half Court, I mean, they make it look clean, they make it look good, they make it look easy, all things considered here. On the offense, on the defense, does not matter. Evil on the Winston, on the Wrecking Ball, just such a leader for this team to rally around, both literally and figuratively here. I mean, Seal the Deal put up a fight here on defense, finally in point C, but this was really Camp Half Court's game all the way through.
Oh yeah, I mean, Evil was just had full control on both maps. I mean, you saw there that play that even with OC out, he had the whole enemy team on him, and he still came out on top with like 3 to 4 picks. On Esperanza, he was just holding ground and would not let the D.Va just make space. Because once the D.Va left the little team fight, he would just go straight for that Juno Brig backline, and D.Va would not be able to get back in time. D.Va would have to choose last second. Hey, do I want to dive their backline and trade, or do I want to save my team and peel? While all the while the Tracer is in their backline at the same time, do the same thing. So just mind games from Camp Half Court put them over on both these maps.
Yeah, Camp Half Court, so devastating. I mean, the speed, the tempo that they were bringing to their fights, it just felt like there was not a second for Seal the Deal to breathe, and there was no one who is more worthy of leading that charge than the MVP of the match. It's got to be Evil here, whether it was on the Winston or on the Wrecking Ball there at the end of it. It was just beautifully done, honestly. Like, it just went off so effectively. There was really no chance that Seal the Deal had to really answer to it, you know, despite, you know, the counters that you would tend to assume to be had against the Winston. It turns out there's just no countering Evil.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, what can you do if you guys keep down in your back line? Speaking of the MVP, Evil, how do you feel? How do you feel after that amazing performance?
Thank you. I'm feeling quite good. Yeah, I feel like after the really bad first week, this is what I wanted, you know. Feels good.
Yeah, 100%. So how'd you feel about
Would
like?
you s-
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Would you say this kind of feels like your team finally at full power, or do you think you've got like another gear left that you can, shift into here?
Got another gear because like we had a ringer in, and Dialects is very good. I like playing with Dialects, but Sky's also like incredible. So when Sky's back, we're different. And then we have Gren coming back too. We didn't have Gren this week, so we could be even stronger. To be honest.
Yeah. That was great. It was a great performance. I mean, you just held them in the back line and just could not get forced out one bit, ever. I mean, I don't know. Were you ever worried about the diva pick on your end?
No, we knew that they'd play diva, and we didn't want to ban it. We felt Ram was more of a problem if they were going to play Ram. But like we have a really good Brig player, and Brig is like really powerful into diva. I feel like I know the matchup against diva as Winston and Bull, so I we just believed in our comp. To be honest.
Okay.
What made you decide to go for the ball swap there on the defense at the very end? Do you feel like that was just a better way of holding the door to keep them from getting any distance?
Yeah, I kind of prefer Bull on that first point defend. We also like Bull is incredible at Zen, so Bull works better with Zen, I guess. And yeah, I mean, I'm happy to just play Bull because I like Bull, so it was good to roll around a lot.
Of course. Well, I have no more questions. You have any more questions, Rags?
That'll do it, Evil. Thanks for stopping by. Congratulations once again. Cannot wait to see where Camp Half-Court goes from here.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
All right, folks, we've got just a couple more things to look at before we close up this match for the day. Here, taking a look at our standings for what we're looking at so far here in the A League. So yeah, here in Ash, we've got Smoke Wolves, Corrupted Guys, still on top, of course, naturally. But Camp Half-Court have now rocketed themselves towards the middle of the pack here. Now, there are still plenty more games to be played by these teams here. Once more, Campfire Song Song and Chungus Fungus, of course, have another one before, and Grin Reaper as well. But seal the deal, unfortunately, yes, with this loss, they are now solidly at the bottom here, have not yet taken a map off their opponents so far. Room for improvement, it feels like an understatement, but like there's still plenty of opportunities there. There was certainly moments of brilliance for them that I think we got to see throughout this match here, Relevant. So I don't think this season is a done deal for them just yet.
Oh, 100%. I do think, though, of course, Franco Lucio was out, but they definitely need to run a more dived backline with that diva. I think with that Juno Brig on Route 66 at the beginning, they could not make space because the only person that go up with him was maybe Cassidy at most. Everyone else was stuck in the back line, and now your tanks split, and they're all holding high ground. And once you run out of your boosters and you get pushed off, you're just a sitting duck. No one can get you out. No one's there to help you and support you. You have to figure out a different support line to go with that, if that's what you want to do.
Completely agree. All right, folks, the next match that we have between here on the stream is going to be B League's Ignite Memories versus AR High Noon. Looking at the schedule for today, there's still plenty more to be had. Of course, on the B stream, Borealis versus Nurture has already been nicely closed out there. So, yeah, of course, still working on the Finale 2 on the third channel, BPL 3, Root versus Primal Pineapples. But yeah, next here on the A stream, we do have Ignite Memories versus AR High Noon, and of course on the BPL 2, Noctis versus Umfi University. Still plenty of Overwatch to be had. The night is still young.
Mm-hmm. I mean, nothing much. I'm ready to see, of course, it's the fourth week. Some teams are starting to maybe get the groove together. Some teams already figured out the groove. I think for Camp Half-Court, they figured out the groove. And like Evil said, they had a ringer in for the Tracer, meaning whoever was in his spot originally is going to be 1,000 times more annoying on whatever character they pick if they pick Tracer. So even with that, I mean, I think Camp Half-Court has a solid squad. They clearly have the comms down. They know how everyone works. They know what everyone's good at. I just think Seal Deal, honestly, they don't know what they're doing, but they just got to figure out how to combine what everyone's good at cohesively. I'm all about saying if you're one trick for a character and you run all one tricks, you can win a game. 100% positive. But you have to also know how everyone works as that character to make it useful.
Without doubt, and we'll see if they can, capitalize on that the further we get into it. But that's going to do it for this match here and for us just for the moment. But folks, do not go anywhere. There's tons more BPL. Stay right here. We'll be right back after a few more minutes.
Round 2. Capture the objective. The objective is now active. Thank you. Score 1-1. Ready for battle. Five, four, three, two, one. Round 3. Capture the objective.
I am healed.
Play of the game.
Bob, do something!
Hello everybody and welcome back to BPL Season 7. This is Week 3. I'm Newbeat, that's the wonderful Salsa, and we got a matchup coming up between Ignite Memories and AR High Noon. And Salsa, this should be a good one because these two teams have essentially identical records.
Yeah, right now, both kind of tenants of the Birch League cellar right now, both are tied exactly down to map differential at 6th place. Both 1 and 2 with -1 map differential. So really would like to try to leapfrog and get back into some normal contention. If whatever team wins will at least jump Borealis. They're 2 and 2 with a -1, and they have to get 1 differential here. So they'll at least be tied with School of Rush. If it's a 2-0, they'll go up to 4th place. So just a nice quick jump up the standings for the team that wins. The team who loses is really kind of in a tough spot. You're up against the wall of having a losing season. Once you lose this game, we're at the halfway point now. In fact, we're almost exactly at the halfway point. We're at 11 matches played this week out of a total of 20. And every team really needs to be gunning just to set themselves up for success, especially in A and B League, since not every team is going to make it out of their division.
Yeah, and we're kind of getting to that point of the season where these teams, have had some time together, like they've been able to get used to playing with one another, and they're also seeing other teams play, so they're knowing what they're going to expect from their opponents. So if you want to go on a run to make sure you secure yourself a playoff spot, like we're really already into stretch time as it is.
Absolutely. You have to really be able to bear down these next couple of games. You do have more time to prepare for those games, unlike what we had that first 2 weeks. We played 3 games the next 3 weeks. We'll be playing the 3 games, so more time to prepare for that. But it slipping here, especially where these teams lie at that 1 and 2, if they want to finish out their season strong, they really need to step it up, and that has to start today against a team that's trying to do the same thing. Both teams really trying to keep themselves competitive as we look forward, instead of being just so you're not completely out of it. You could still make playoffs. You could still be fine, but another loss after that, if you're to have it played all the top teams, I believe that Ignite Memories has not played Requiem. They have not, and I think they actually only played one of the teams that are in that all 3 and 1 right now. Yeah, here we go. AR High Noon has played 2 of them, and then played also the 4th seed as well in School of Rock. So a lot of good teams in AR High Noon's match history. Ignite Memories has gotten their 1 win against Nurture, still looking for their first map win, but then has also played tough a bit, and it's both of them played against School of Rock. I think Memories did a little bit better there in terms of that's a win. Hold on, because they both have won their first game. That's what I meant to say. So Ignite Memories lost to School of Rock, and then also lost to Daybreak, who's another very good team. They're 3 and 1, and certainly sitting in second. So, on paper, some of their losses are kind of equal, but their win, I think, is the big difference. AR High Noon has a win against a pretty good team, and Ignite Memories has their 1 win against a pretty bad one. So they need to show up today and show that they're still a competitive team, despite not having the results on paper to match that.
For sure, and these two teams, like you said, they have a pretty similar records in what they've been through so far. And with this being the time where you really want to pick things up, I think that sets us up for this match today, with 2 really even rosters on either side, to have a really close matchup, because we've talked about the records, but I think talent-wise, these 2 teams are matched up pretty closely as well.
Oh, yes, they are quite close in terms of talent. And I'm taking a look. I'm trying to look at the rosters here. Ignite Memories only has 5 people in their Discord call, so it looks like they don't have any subs. It'll be Retro, Oblivicator as the DPS line, Sarah Lee, and probably Unleashed Raptor as support, because Jace is not eligible to play as support. So Jace is the tank, it looks to be that as the roster. So that's what we'll see today. I mean, it's always tough when you don't have your entire team there. It's nice that you don't have to make substitutions, but you also don't get to make substitutions, which means you can get target banned a lot more easily, and you don't have that flexibility. If something's a problem, like you need to be able to play something, you're relying on the hero pool of whoever showed up for the match. So really trying to leverage that set of 5 to spin a win today.
And speaking of bans as well, we will be getting those in a second as we take a quick look at AR High Noon's roster. And again, some really good players here. Like Maeda's good, Mitzi, like a lot of names that I recognize as really strong players. So, like you said, we'll see if some of those target bans come through. We'll see, what these teams want to run out for the first map. But speaking of those bans, we are getting them in. Ignite Memories for the first map is banning Wrecking Ball, and AR is banning Tracer for the first map. So those are the bans we're going to get to start us off.
Tracer is absolutely an evergreen ban. I don't know if it's as much of an evergreen ban right now as Freya or Sojourner Genji might be, but it's still perfectly reasonable just to say it's Flashpoint. We don't want to see a Tracer on the map. Ball is interesting. I'm wondering if that's a protect ban of the tank role, or if they're trying to target down one of the AR High Noon's tanks. Because if you're gonna do a protect ban, you think you would just pick something like a Ramatra or like a Rissa, another like just evergreen, unless you're trying to play explicitly that. Right. But I just don't know. So part of me wants to see, is it just a target? It might just be a target, but I'm not super sure.
To me, it does kind of feel like a target ban, but also I believe Suravasa is going to be our first map. So like I don't know how much ball you would want to run on Suravasa regardless.
That's my point. Is like. Yeah. If it's a target ban, that's a good target ban, but I don't know if you... I would think you want to save that for Rialto or Busan. Especially Rialto. I don't know. But Busan, maybe you don't want to hold it for that long. You might not get to Busan. But definitely Rialto is a pretty decent ball map. Suravas, I think you're probably... Even if you're going to run dive, I think you might lean to like a Winston or a Diva instead. As we look the rest of our map pool, I mean, I've mentioned them all now. Rialto is our second map, our escort map, and Busan will be our tiebreaker map on control. Actually, both of these teams have already gotten to play on escort. Obviously, both of them lost on escort last week, but have seen some data. I'm trying to see if they've actually got to play on any of these maps. It does not look like it. Yeah, because Eichenwald, New Queen Street, Gibraltar was our pool last week. So do not have any data in that regard. But yeah. I mean, this is just kind of the nature of the way our formats work, where we're just getting new modes and every team's playing once. So not a lot of data quite yet. We'll probably get a little bit more as we hit the end of the season and look towards playoffs, where maybe we can get a little bit more information on maps in that way. Mm-hmm. But also it forces teams to be on their toes and not just play Kings Row, Liaison Tower, and some escort map.
Yeah. And map sets get fun later on this season too, because we get that extra data and they're really fun to dig into. I think at this stage in the season it can almost be a little bit weird, because just because you're good on one escort map doesn't necessarily mean you'll be good on others, or slot in whatever map type you choose there. But I think we're at a point where we're kind of in a middle ground, right? Like I mentioned earlier, these teams are getting to know themselves and the other teams in their league better, but also there's still a lot left to be played, in the sense of like we still are going to be seeing more maps and stuff like that. So I think this is kind of a fun little like gray area of, okay, we have some data, we have some information, but we're still going to be gaining a lot this week.
Yeah, no, this is the halfway point. Still 3 more matches to go even after this one. Plenty of time to adjust, and this is just kind of the checkpoint of how's your season going so far. Early games, it was the first week of matches, not a lot of data. Next game is just kind of adapting to a different map pool and still trying to work together as a team. This is where we actually will get some true indication of where these teams stand and how they're projected to go for the rest of the season, because we can look at their remaining strength of schedule and just how well are they playing after a decent amount of time together, that would push them into a scenario that would... It says, will this team be a contender for playoffs, be able to make it far in the bracket, or is this just going to be just get drowned in pools or get busted out really quickly as you make it to the playoff bracket?
Oh boy, I'm sorry, I was just caught looking at chat there for a second. So hi Jace, good to see you out there. And Jace is going to go with the Orisa, at least showing that early. I think Orisa is a really strong pick here for Suravasa or any Flashpoint map, essentially, just because they have just so much utility with the spear, with the spin, all that kind of stuff. But it looks like we're seeing two pretty stable comps, not going super divey. Both teams running a Genji to start us off as well.
Yeah, I'm a little questioning how much I like the Kiriko Juno setup. I think you really would rather the Brig if you're running the Juno, but they're also they've taken a lot better point presence. That's the one good thing that their comp can do. Definitely more susceptible to a dive potentially, and there's no teleport for that Kiriko, so Sara Lee will get out, but just barely. But has to use basically all the resources just to stay alive. Meme, though, dropping very low, has to try to get out. In the meantime, two of their teammates will fall, so looks like this will be a reset for AR High Noon.
Yeah, Ignite Memories did a good job of just whittling down the Tommy M on the tank to get kind of M out of that fight early, and then, you know, once you get rid of that hazard, then you can just see the rest of the dominoes fall. So Ignite Memories get first cap here. Obviously too early to make any changes yet, but some good aggression, trying to get a little bit away from the point and make it tough for AR High Noon to come back in.
Yeah, I mean, this is where that soldier really can be of some use, just trying to shut down some sight lines. Mitzi goes down, and no supports at all for AR High Noon, just both getting burst down really quickly, and Pigeon is very quick to follow, so just M trying to get an exit frag does not happen. Jace getting a 3K there. Real nice, and we're already at 63% and counting, probably in last fight territory. I mean, it's really has to rush to get that touch even. You see Ignite Memories now pushing forward, trying to stifle any potential touch, and M's now switching over to the Orisa, conceding the defeat for the hazard.
And now we're going to start this fight off here with the Genji Blade coming in quick, and that Genji will get punished. Retro's able to finish off Charlie Brown, but the trades are coming through, and Ignite Memories will come out on top, so they do spend a couple ult surge. Jace did use the Terra Surge as well. But overall, to get a first point cap, get that first point on the board, and only spend a couple ults, you're off to a really good start for Ignite Memories.
Absolutely. I mean, like, yes, the blade not actually an effective one, but you get what you need. Obviously, Unleash just falling there, and Sara Lee falling quickly afterwards, so a little bit of staggers, but this is when the people are rotating to the point that's okay. It looks like Jace will fall here too for those supports. So this looks like AR High Noon will get into position to cap the second point pretty quickly and cleanly. Blade now getting pulled by a Narc, and I mean, and Unleash dies again. That's honestly pretty tough, just getting the stagger. Now the point's getting capped, and you just have so much space to play with because you cannot push up without that Juno.
Yeah, there's about 20-25% for free now going, and now that rush is going to come out, and AR High Noon is running in at full speed to try and take advantage of that Kiriko ult, and they're able to get two quickly, so that's going to be another reset here for Ignite Memories, unless there's some sort of miracle, and it doesn't look like it's going to be the case. So AR Noon now on the front foot, you know, fell down in that first point, but now they're looking strong. They get the cap, and it's really tough for Ignite Memories to get a strong foothold. Raptor getting forward, maybe getting too far forward. They get taken down by the Orisa, and that's going to be a tough fight now. Without that, Juno goes down. Without the use of their ultimate, Pigeon goes down with the OC and is able to get Slimy, and this is going to be another fight win for Ignite Memories. So, bit of a slow start on that first point, but now they're looking very clean.
Yeah, AR Noon's just been looking solid, and they're pushed up so far forward. Retro dies there as well, just I mean, basically to the spawn doors. and there's not a whole lot that Ignite Memories can do. Just have to watch that point tick away and try to regroup on the next one. But the best thing is you have most of your ultimates. You only don't have that Kitsune Rush. So you have the tools to mount a good defense if you can get in position, but we've seen what happens when they don't. They just get staggered out and keep dying over and over again. And it's hopeless, frankly.
Yeah, like Unleashed Raptor has to maybe play a little bit more careful with the Juno. I know we've seen them go down first a couple times, so that's obviously something that Ignite Memories is going to want to avoid, as they have that Juno ult for this fight, and they are going to use and combine it with the Tactical Visor. Not too much happening, as there is a nice disengage for AR High Noon. It is 4v4 as both teams have lost one. Jade's pushing forward. They do have the Terror Surge at their disposal, but obviously wanting to make AR High Noon to come back into them. Narcissus is going to go in with the Blade, and they're going to get one into the backline, takes down Retro, and Slimy is going to answer with a Blade of their own. So the two Genjis going toe to toe right now, both getting eliminations with that ultimate. Slimy's able to get the health back and stay up into this fight as Narc goes up top and finishes off Chase. So the loss of the Orisa is going to prove massive in this fight, and it's just not something that Ignite Memories can come back from, and AR High Noon is going to get some more percentage.
Yeah, unfortunately that Blade just got slightly better picks in terms of value rather than rate. Both got 2, but Ignite Memories just not quite as impactful. And then Jace gets just burst down because there's not supports there. And when he falls, the entire composition just has to break. And now 50% already going strong. And when Slimy falls, you just have to back away. You can't do anything with that. And I mean, now just waiting, trying to get in position. The Kitsune Rush already committed. Now here, Jace dropping low, has to back away. And the Terror Surge just doing a ton of damage. Jace will fall, and this has to be another reset. I don't think you can try it with just down already 2 and about to be 3.
Yeah, it's looking pretty grim now for Ignite Memories on this point. I don't think they're going to be able to make it back. A nice pick up there from Sarli to get one with the Kuriko, just going in with the Kunai, seeing if they can get a second, going for the Kiri diff, and they get it. A massive play coming out from Sarli, able to get 2, is able to get the Suzu Tally to get back out. That's some A+ support play.
Yeah, a little bit of differential on the Kiriko right there, even though so far it's just been really tough to just get their footing down. Unleashed getting dropped down again, but will stay up. So far, so good. Just very low, no support there, and M will find him. So, I mean, now you're losing Slimy as well, and this is just so tough.
Yeah, it feels like all the momentum is in AR High Noon's corner now, as they're basically just mopping up here before the point is even unlocked, and that is going to be another fight win for High Noon, and they've already got themselves up to another 3 ultimates. Ignite Memories will have some of their own soon, but they're winning in the neutral, they're winning right now in the ult economy. Everything is coming up roses for High Noon. Yeah,
I mean, they're getting a lot better engages and catching people out of position. Unleashed has been playing really far forward, and the Lucio has just been so important here. The difference of just that Lucio versus the Juno speed, both can provide the speed as Slime is using his blade, but currently not getting any value, and looks like, yeah, will die for it. So just kind of a bit of a wasted ultimate there. However, it does force IR High Noon off of the point, so they do get that flip, at least for a temporary amount of time, but Narc is coming in with that blade. Also looks like we'll find nothing. Retro will fall in the meantime, so Ignite Memories is down 2. And both supports down for AR High Noon. There's a potential here, but when Jace falls, that's just the end of it. Sarli will find an exit frag, but there's no way, right? Wait a minute. The supports?
Oh, it's happening. The
supports did it.
Ignite Memories are just going bananas. Like, this is, like, Sarli's been doing it on the Kuriko, and then Raptor showed up in that fight as well. Some great use of the orbital ray there from the Juno, and that was frankly a clutch up that Ignite Memories absolutely had to have, because their backs are up against it. AR High Noon wins one more fight, and they're probably going to take this map. Sarli's able to play the headshot in onto the Genji, absolutely gargantuan coming back in. just sitting up on the high ground, throwing in kunais with impunity. Jason's able to find Pigeon, and this is going to be a fight win here for Ignite Memories, and they should be able to even this up 2-2.
There should be a point when I think there maybe Narcissus will get the touch, potentially. No, it's Mitzi, and Mitzi will get that touch, so they will die for it, though. So I still don't think they're in a great position. Genji will fall too, and this just has to be, yep, you got it, and go on to last as we go. And the exit frag. Oh, great, 1 for 1. But I mean, honestly, this is probably actually negative for Ignite Memories. The Kiriko will get there faster.
Yeah, that is definitely true. I mean, these two teams really just going down to this last map here, as it's going to be for all the marbles as we go over to this last one. You can see that Slimy is going to make it there first. A little bit of time until this point unlocks, and Pigeon coming in with an overclock at the ready for this fight. M does have that Terror Surge online. Both the Orissas so far have been finding values with the ultimate, and now we got Narcissus going into the back lane here, seeing if they can get rid of that pesky Kiriko, and the Kitsune Rush is now coming out from Saralee to enable the rest of Ignite Members to get up and in onto the point. Suzu being spent as well, as Pigeon is flanking over onto the right-hand side, goes back down to main. M has spent that Terror Surge. Jace is almost out there, as Raptor's able to get one with the torpedoes, and now with Slimy getting a dash kill in onto Mitzi. This is going to be a fight win here for Memories. They already have 30% and counting, so this is looking real good for them so far.
Yeah, Saralee puts on a fantastic Kitsune Rush. Just controls main so well. Pigeon tries to take that flank with the overclock, but the rest of the team is able to quickly pivot and actually shut him down, and then he has to fall back. And by then, you've used so many resources protecting, you're not able to get the overclock, a lot of good out of the overclock. You've gotten the cap. Here comes this blade from Slime, and I mean, you're going to get 1 for 1, but actually, Narcs is quite a bit better, but everybody else is falling down around, and that will do it. Ignite Memories gets the clutch job on the 4th point there, and will clean it up here on the 5th. There were they had 2 solid point wins. The rest of the other ones look pretty shaky, but it is enough to get that first map win.
You could really feel the momentum shift once at the beginning. Ignite Memories really had it after the first point. Then they kind of lost it for like 2.5, and then they got it back at the end, and were just able to run it over the finish line. So it really, you could feel those just swells and valleys of momentum coming through. And in the end, I mean, Ignite Memories is able to ride it out and take a 1-0 lead in the series, and set them up for match point.
Yeah, I really think a big part of it for AR High Noon was that switch to Orisa from the Hazard. First point was a bit too late just to get that the momentum was not in their favor, but second and third and a good portion of fourth was just dominated by having the Orisa and having that Lucio on the field and not having the Juno. And it definitely does not help that Raptor was just kind of getting picked off every time. So you're constantly getting just picked off and staggered in such a critical role that you're playing Juno Kiri because you want a little bit of extra healing, and you're willing to sacrifice speed for it. And that's a fine trade-off if you can make that, especially because they were originally playing the 76, and that's where you're kind of supplementing your healing. You're just trying to out-sustain even if you can't move quite as much. But that means whenever you're sending people on the flank angles, your Genji or your 76, they're a little bit more squishy. They're able to get rushed down a lot more, and there's less you can do to protect them. You don't have as good of tools to peel for them. You don't have like a Lucio boop. You really only have whatever your Orisa can do. She can't get that as close because you don't have Lucio speed, and you have Curie cleanse. So once you force out the Suzu, that's about it. And that's where you start to see so many problems for Ignite Memories go in those like that middle part of the map. But the supports just kind of locked down. Was able to finally get one good flip and just a solid fight win. Finally, once they are able to find that, they get into position. They also have Retro then on the Sojourn, so you have better damage output. You're trying to focus more on that than just raw sustain, and that's what's helpful for them to reset on 0.4, and then 0.5 is just a dominance of just using that ultimate economy, the things they did not have to use, and really getting a lot of value out of that Kitsune Rush.
Yeah, I was gonna say it almost felt like the turning point for that map was when Sarah Lee just started killing everybody
Balling out.
she just didn't seem to like care anymore. She's like, listen, I gotta hit y'all in the head, and there's nothing you could do about it. And that really felt like it flipped the momentum back in Ignite Memory's favor, and then they were just able to keep it solid. Like, I know there were still fight wins after that for High Noon, but it really felt like that's when Ignite Memories really gained the upper hand. And once they really got a death grip on the last point, like they really wanted to hold on to it. So next up we got Rialto, and a really interesting ban coming out as well. AR is going first with the ban, and they're going to ban Orisa.
That's reasonable. I mean, I think you're probably gonna. I don't know what Maeda plays, because Maeda is here, so Maeda is going to play, and also I'm trying to see what the other support that would switch in would be. Looks like Mitzi is out, so Charlie Brown and Meow will be playing. With that being the case, you're trying. I would imagine that you're probably going to be playing Hazard. So if it was M who came out on Hazard, you would want to not ban that. Here, I think it's just you saw Jace playing it. Jace is doing pretty well on the Orisa, and you don't want to deal with it anymore. Force Jace onto something else, which is perfectly reasonable. Actually,
Yeah.
okay, it looks like M will still be playing. Interesting.
It feels like it really is a 2-for-1 almost with the ban, because clearly on Suravasa, AR wanted to run out with the Hazard. Now they can do that without the fear of Jace's risks on the other side. So it seems like a double win for them to be able to get rid of that Orisa and now maybe allow themselves to play a Hazard if they want to do that.
Yeah, certainly. And the Kiri ban is smart, kind of saying, okay, you don't want to let us play our rush, but we do not want to let you play dive. We do not want you to play like anything with Lucio Kiri, with a ball or with a Hazard, anything like that. You don't get to do that. Instead, we're gonna be playing probably Juno, Brig, Rush. At least that's what we're gonna play. I don't know about you, but probably some Ramattra we'll see, or some other type of tank in that realm. Maybe Amalga. I doubt it. I imagine it's probably going to be Ramattra, but we'll see. I think it's just how much do you want to balance mobility versus dealing with the potential dive that you expect from AR High Noon.
Yeah, and with Rialto as well as our next map, it's one of those maps where you could go a couple different ways with it, but something to keep an eye on is that first fight. I think in escort maps, that first fight can be so important. Like you only have so much time. These maps are so hard to complete anyway. You can't be losing time on the start on your attack, right? So you really want to put your first or your best foot forward going into that first fight. And like you said, we are getting Maeda in now for M on the tank. So I have some inside knowledge saying maybe there's one hero that Maeda wants to play.
Yeah, apparently that's why this is where I think you would have been fine with playing against ball and Suravasa. I think you'd rather not have the ball here and deal with it on Suravasa. Maybe you lose that map, but at least you don't have to play it on Rialto, because Rialto is just, it seems like heaven for the hamster.
Yeah. As somebody who plays ball very poorly, I can confirm that it is a good map for ball, just maybe not my wrecking ball specifically. But generally speaking, like, there's a lot of really good flank routes. There's high ground where you can kind of drop down on people if you want. There's a lot of like little cheeky rolls you can get going with the rooftops. Like, yeah, Rialto's definitely a fun time for wrecking ball for sure.
Yeah, so we will see if they are able to mitigate that ball or if they just really were struggling on it already on Cerebos and just had to pull the trigger there. I think definitely having that, like, preemptively banning Kiri, not preemptively, but reacting to it, but banning the Kiri and then kind of assuming they're going to be playing a Juno Brig is pretty smart to deal with that ball. That's the backline you want to deal with ball anyways, and you're taking away a key resource for the ball in the form of that Suzu and just that long range shielding that Kiriko can do. Very effective at that. So it's a good ban in that way. I just think that maybe that's probably the thing you save for Busan, because Busan's also a good ball map. I think you just ban something else on Surabasa and then go runner in that way. Go ball Kiri within the next two maps. But I still think that this is good. Definitely, if they win this, it's just it's concerning really once we hit on Busan, I think. But you also potentially could just ban Lucio and at least kind of mitigate some of the damage.
Yeah, and I think maybe the thought from AR is like, sure, we don't want to deal with the stuff on Busan, but you have to get to Busan first, right? So you gotta make sure you can win Rialto. So maybe their mindset is more of just like, we'll deal with that problem if we have to deal with it later. Like right now, we just got to deal with the next map that's in front of us.
That's fair.
I mean, if that's the mindset, I think that's a good one to have. Like just focus on this next map. Obviously, with these first twos, gotta win it. The old backs up against the wall for AR High Noon. So yeah, I think they're just trying to maybe get through Rialto and then, let the chips fall where they may after that.
Sure, I just think you need to leverage that one of the first two maps Maeda is not going to play. So you're not going to see the ball there. I think you can say, don't ban ball on Saravasa. Let Maeda play on Saravasa if that's what AR High Noon want to do. If you lose, fine. Maeda's not going to play in map 3. And then if you win Rialto and you go to Busan, either they have to protect ban a tank and you just ban Kiriko, or they don't ban that and then you ban ball and now Maeda has to not play again.
Well, yeah, I think in the end it was just almost a double whammy when you ban ball in the first point and then, Ignite Members is able to win it. And so now you've kind of painted yourself into this corner where that ban that you might want later on has already been spent. So now it's maybe just a bit of a pivot. So we're going to have to see what AR High Noon want to do in this map here. I mean, just thinking about what happened on Saravasa, it feels like both these bans on the Orisa and on the Kiriko were both just like, hey, these two players play those heroes really good. Don't want to deal with that for, 10 minutes or however long this map takes. 20 minutes.
Yeah, it looks like we also have Meowing for Mitzi. I got that reversed. So that'll be the other substitution for AR High Noon coming in as we head towards Rialto. Still taking a little bit of getting the players all switched around. So just hanging on for a couple minutes here.
Yeah, it's I'm looking forward to this. Rialto is one of my favorite maps to cast, just like on a personal level, just with all the environmental kill potential on the first bridge at the beginning. Like, I've seen some pretty wild stuff happen. Reinhardt's charging people off the map, Road Dogs with the hooks. Like, I don't think we'll be seeing either one of those heroes when we go to Rialto here, but I feel like there is always the potential for shenanigans on this map.
Definitely. Rialto's a map where a lot of things can work. It's like a lot of it has so many flank routes and just like and different ways for the high ground to be set up that dive works. But also there is a lot of, we've seen in the past, rush compositions have had plenty of ease being run here as well. during and depending on the meta. So just about anything could get played here. It looks like Jace will be moving over to that Hazard. Honestly, just a really solid bet. I don't know how much I like the Ana Zen though. I think you need to have, at least on defense, I think you need to have a Brig just to deal with that ball and help shut that down. I don't think the presence of Discord Orb is enough to mitigate that.
Yeah, and that Ana Zen are going to have to be really careful because that's who Maeda is going to be looking for going into the backline. And you can see it right there. The ball comes in, Sleep, Bionade are both spent to make sure that Wrecking Ball is evicted from the backline there, and so Ignite Memories doesn't have to worry about it. Sarah and Raptor right now are just going to have to make sure that they stay alive through these Wrecking Ball engagements, as we have another one coming in here. Payload has moved up a little bit, and Maeda overstayed their welcome on that attack. That tank is going to go down, and that's going to free up the supports to make sure Jace can stay on their feet and stay into this fight, and that's going to be a first fight win coming out of here for Ignite Memories. So exactly how you want to start that defense.
You're just throwing the Harmony Orb onto Jace and letting him just take a great position there. Once you take care of Maeda, kind of the rest of the team will fall down. Charlie Brown will fall as well here. And now Sarah Lee trying to get away from Narc. Oh, great sleep. What a sleep on the ball that was trying to get the dive. Will fall response, but there is no more support. Just has to be that on a gun. Slimy will fall as well. The Nano Boost is committed, trying just to burst this open. Oh, and it's a fantastic sleep from Charlie Brown to just shut Jace down. Has to use the wall and fall back. It's not an actual death, but a lot of resources get fought instead of being able to get that stagger kill. Sarah Lee also dropping really low, trying to stay alive. Should be that Raptor's back now, and the overclock is committed. Will find two. Maeda and Narc will be down. Pigeon will fall soon afterwards, and that is a solid fight win now for High Ignite Memories. Now 2 minutes are off the clock. A fantastic time so far.
And Slimy clocked them with that overclock, and it really does feel like both these tanks maybe pulled all-nighters because they are constantly asleep, both the Hazard and the Wrecking Ball. I mean, obviously both big targets to hit, but they are getting their full aid here right now as these teams coming together once again. Raptor has that Transcendence online to try and mitigate some damage. They are going to get a kill onto the opposing Freya, which is massive. And now the Zenyatta popping off, getting a 3K. Okay, Raptor, just, you know, do your thing. Retro is able to get a pick as well. Now Maeda's rolling around like, well, this fight's already over.
It gets a pick, but I don't, like, I mean, it matters. You can maybe get a little bit of an engagement before that Ana gets back, but I don't think it'll matter too much. Ignite Memories will just give you up a little bit of space. Only 1 minute left. They have two really good, impactful ultimates. They'll have two coming up real soon. And the mines are not forced yet. Slimy will get taken down, and you're really now trying to put pressure for that Transcendence to come out. There it is. And just trying to keep Jace topped up. Here comes that downpour. Looks like it will find one. Pigeon will go down. But now Narc just trying to get as much damage as possible, get pumped into that tank. Not quite dead. And Raptor will find Meow. So actually, this is just a bit of a hold, just barely. And Raptor will survive. Maeda not able to get that pick either. It's 30 seconds left, and you just have mines to deal with this Nano Boost. And the cart's in just dire straits. Just only have really rounded that first corner.
I honestly do not know how Raptor was able to survive the damage that was coming in from Narcissus on that Freya. They have now switched to Genji, and now we got some ultimates being spent here, and Retro is able to win the Tracer duel against Pigeon, and that is going to put Ignite Memories into the driver's seat as we go into this last fight. No DPS left. Even though the minefields are down, they're basically just a whimper for AR High Noon on this attack, as Ignite Memories can just back up, keep dealing in this damage to the Wrecking Ball. Now they take down Maeda, and with that, there are just drags, just a member or two left for AR High Noon to touch. They run out of bodies, and that's going to do it for their attack. Ignite Memories have an extremely strong hold here on Rialto, and eminently winnable position for them going into their attack.
Yeah, I mean, really, the support's just doing so much work, letting Jace play with free reign and just shutting down Maeda completely, and just staying alive and getting so many key picks that Discord has been fantastic. And I mean, just everything Sarah Lee's doing on Ana has been fantastic as well. She's been insane, and Unleash Rapper has just locked in, hasn't just not getting picked off. I think maybe dies once the entire map, which is exceptional for a Zenyatta, especially up against a ball and a Tracer like that. Zen's the target there. Zen's the one who's going to fall down most of the time because he does not have the tools normally to survive other than shoot them in the head, and Raptor's been fantastic at shooting them in the head. So only 60 meters to give up. AR High Noon have to effectively play with one fight loss. That's what they can do. They can lose one fight. After that, they cannot lose it again. And they have to play really far up, or they're giving up that one fight loss that they're allowed.
Yes, also, right now, Raptors essentially just showing that sometimes the best defense is a good offense, which is essentially what Zenyatta gameplay is in a nutshell anyways. But just looking clean on that Zen, and now, like, you got to come back mentally from an attack like that where you knew you had to push payload farther than you got it into the end. Now you got Pigeon in the backline on an Ashe with a Mercy pocket, so that's going to be definitely a threat into the backline, but so far not a ton of point presence for High Noon. Payload's just moving a bit, and now the high ground has been taken by Ignite Memories, and that's huge with the wall kill onto the Tracer. This is looking dicey already for High Noon.
I mean, yeah, you give it up your fight loss. In really part because you kind of did lose it with that one pick onto your Tracer, and now the Mercy falls. That's so bad. Pigeon will fall too, and now everything's just breaking down. No, I mean, you just had the ball there to touch. Charlie Brown has to jump down. Will fall as well. It's just the ball, and nowhere to be seen as the cart rolls in. Ignite Memories take it 2-0 in a crushing win against AR High Noon.
That was a masterclass on Rialto. Just like, it really felt like a foregone conclusion after their defense, just with how strong that was, with how small the payload movement was for AR High Noon's attack. It really felt like Ignite Memories had it into the bag, and this is why you don't let Zenyatta get to the high ground.
Yeah, no, you cannot let that Zenyatta get to the high ground. A great play to use that sim just to allow the Zen to get up there and before you switch off. Because it's just in such a good position for those two supports. They have great sight lines and can just do so much damage. And the fact that AR High Noon did not want to hold up that high up is just kind of crazy.
Yeah, so that if you're Ignite Memories, that win's gonna feel really good for you, just because not only do you win it, it's like we said off the top, like this is a game you really want to win if you want to improve your chances for playoffs down the road. This is where you want to start taking those first steps. But not only did you win it, I mean, it was a resounding win. Like, there was just no doubt left by the end of that match who the better team was in that game.
Absolutely. And I mean, just being able to come out when you need it to. This is the time to lock in. And I mean, you did look shaky on Suravasa, but putting all doubts to bed on Rialto, it gives you so much momentum going into the second half of your season. As we have Jace coming in for an interview. Hi, Jace.
Oh, I'm not sticking around for long. Newbie, good to see you. Say hi to Ageless for me. I hope him and his son or daughter, I forget, but he has a kid, doesn't he? So
yeah,
Ageless, yeah. Just saying hi. That's all.
Will do.
Hi.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, and we have Retro and our MVP Sarah Lee in the call with us as well.
Wait, no way! I got player of the match.
Oh yeah, you popped off. What?
I was kind of trolling sometimes, but all right, I'll take it. I thank you. Wow, that's an honor.
Where we were sitting, it looked pretty good.
Yeah, that was Well, you know, I don't know. That was a game. That was a game of all time. You know, it's actually really good to have 5 members of Ignite Memories who are playing on their main roles for the most part. Raptor, of course, is a tank player, but we have him on support. But you know, a lot of our previous games this season have been kind of messy with some availability issues. And I don't know. Last week we had the infamous resolve on tank. You know, some of you may have witnessed that beautiful gameplay.
on God.
I think, I mean, yeah, Resolve on tank is probably not what you want to do for long-term success, but it definitely is good to have that whole, be able to play with that whole roster, and just at a great time to just even up your record at 2-2, and I think you jumped to 4th place now in the standings, I want to say.
I think we're tied
Yes,
for
that is
4th,
correct.
yeah, with
No,
Oh.
you have one on higher map differential over School.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty good.
So,
That's-
so
yeah.
after a
I mean-
win like that, where you guys look so strong, like, do you feel a bit of a win streak coming on, maybe?
You know, I don't know. Maybe Retro might be feeling it. It's always hard to say. There's a lot of really good competition in this group. I think Ignite's definitely had some issues in terms of like getting scrims together and playing with each other. But recently, we've started to figure things out. So I mean, maybe we might be leveling up a little bit.
It comes down to our availability. As
Yeah.
a whole, for our team, it's just if we're all there, we're locked in. If we're not, then ooh.
Yeah, well, we can get Retro and a Slimester or Oblivicator as his Discord's name is, and I mean, I think we can definitely pull up some upsets so far. Those two are lethal DPS line.
I'm straight.
Yeah, just-
I mean, I'm alright.
I was just gonna say, it just felt like your team was kind of like you were talking about, kind of getting together a bit more. It really felt like the team was kind of rolling on all cylinders. I mean, especially on Rialto, like that was a quick map.
Yeah, well, I mean, Rialto is definitely there's not the thing is on his end, it's really hard for Ball to play into because it changes like the unkillable hero from like suddenly you slam wrong once and you just die. So it's like it's definitely like a much harder thing for a lot of things. And then we said, okay, let's ban Kiriko because that means that there's always like a support who our frontline can trade with when there's like a backline trade. Because normally, just have the Kiriko and then the Kiriko TPs forward. It's like, oh, Jason and Retro looking around in the air, but we're like, let's just not do that. Let's just force a trade every fight, and hopefully that will mean that we can just always like stalk card out if we need to.
Honestly, I think the Kiriko ban in itself kind of what secured it. Because what did they run out with? They ran with like Mercy,
Ana, I think.
Right.
Yeah, and it's so hard for them to keep those characters alive.
It just kind of killed their angle pressure. They just didn't surround, do anything. They kind of like try to go for picks with their Freya, but they weren't finding any. And then their flanks were getting shut down almost immediately.
Yeah, it was a good match. We were having a lot of fun. I don't know if it could tell, but I think a lot of us loading night, we like each other. We have a good time, and I think that if you have a good time and you like your teammates, and sometimes even when things go wrong, you say, hey, we'll get it next time, and that's enough to keep you going.
Yeah, that definitely makes it more fun to play. Do you want to give out any other shoutouts or anything before we let you go?
Do you have anything, Retro?
Shout out to my mom, my dad, my homie JJ up in the Bronx. I ain't got shit.
All right, well, Resolve. I'll shout out Resolve since I know he's probably watching or going to see this. Shout out Resolve, my Winston Goat. The spirit of Grexu blesses him. He couldn't be here tonight because he's on vacation, but he'll be back next week, and hopefully we'll get him a map win as well.
I miss bro. He better not be cheating on me.
All right. Well,
All right.
thanks, friends, for joining us. Also, do you have any other questions?
No, I do not.
All right. Yeah. So thanks, friends, for joining us. It was really fun watching you today. A really good showing, and Sarah Lee, congratulations again on the MVP.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for everything you do.
All right. Well, that was Sarah Lee and Retro after their very convincing 2-0 win over AR High Noon. So now we'll take a quick look at those standings, like you mentioned, Salsa, and see how everything shakes out after that win.
Yeah, it looks like actually was the other team playing while we were also doing this? I'm trying to see because it looked like No, but that was it was Nurture and Borealis. So it was just a run. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah. So AR High Noon will drop to that 1 and 3. With the -3, still have some opportunities. I think they still have yet to play Nurture, so that is a pretty easy win. It seems like you can kind of pad them out to 2 and 3. Still have games against teams like Borealis, and also looks like Borealis is another team in that mid-table, which is rarely where they're trying to gain ground. Their other game would be against Daybreak, who is looking to be a good team. So like one easy game, one hard game, and one kind of medium game. So still enough to maybe get to that 3 and 4. Not ideal, but could at least be enough to get you almost there. Maybe have your map differential to be part of it. And their map differential has looked not great, but also not terrible. Definitely with a couple more match wins, that'll even out to right around 0, which is perfectly fine, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, 0 is the most perfectly fine map differential you can kind of get. It's like right on the middle. But we are going to be stepping aside for a quick break. But don't go anywhere. We are going to be having some C-League action coming up between BOA and Log Racers. And BOA is looking really strong right now in the C-League, so that's definitely going to be a fun one. But as I mentioned, we're going to step aside for a quick break, but we will see you in a bit.
Camped out on the porch, trying to work this out. Raining in my 담을 수 있을까? 벌어진 틈새를 채울 순 있을까? I don't know what to do. We've already spent too much time. 우린 이미 너무 먼 길을 너에게로부터 가장 먼저 내 마음이 또다시 철없이 널 향하지 않게 Far away 한참을 헤매고 찾아왔던 네가 그렇게 반가울 수 있었을까? I don't know what to do. I can't wait for you anymore. 이제 내게 남은 인사를 건네줄게. 너에게로부터 가장 먼저 내 마음이 또다시 철없이 널 향하지 않게 Far 정처없이 흘러갈 너를 두고 가난한 내 맘 서둘러서 손끝에 나 닿으려 해를 쓰던 나야 마지막에서 어떤 말로 널 담을 수 있을까?
Your grace is love beyond all means. It breaks the chains and gives strength to the weak. When I am lost, you're there with me. Your grace alone can set me free. Your grace abounds, it knows no end. It covers me and is my defense. When I am weak, you're strong for me. Your grace alone can set me free. Your grace alone is good enough. Without your grace.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to BPL Season 7. This is Week 3, Day 2. And it's also, we got a match coming up between Boa and Log Racers. This is going to be a good one. These are two really good teams in the C League. Boa in first place right now at 3-0. Log Racers, though, not far behind them. They're in third at 2-1. So this should be a very strong match for these two teams.
Yeah, it should. And Boa has been just outright dominant in some of their games, playing against pretty good competition, Umfa University and Terrapin on their first week. Then got to take a quick game off of Cernos after that, and trying to keep their streak alive. One of only a few. I think there's only like 2 left of undefeated teams still. Yes, Mothmania and Primal Pineapples are also undefeated. So trying to still be number 3, 1 for each level of play. But Log Racers has looked strong. I think that there is perhaps a little bit of a fraud watch on one hand, because their strength of schedule has been poor. They lost to Noctis and then beat the Bears and Cernos, and that is 6, 7, and 8 on the standings. So they really would like that statement win to show that they deserve their current 3rd seed, and that they're a really strong team, which their record shows, but maybe their opponents have not.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is a really good spot to do it because, like you said, they're at 2-1. They're in 3rd place, but you know, there's always that. Well, you haven't really done anything. You haven't played too many like crazy teams. But if you come out and you beat Boa, you're laughing. It's great. Everything's good. But in order to do that, you have to beat Boa, which is pretty tough to do. I mean, they got a pretty good roster here that I'm looking at. A lot of strong, well-known players in the BPL scene, and they're not going to be an easy out.
Absolutely not, no. But there's a reason why they're undefeated. They're a really well-constructed roster if we can pull that up. I mean, having Andrew on that main tank position, and then Taco and Hunter Tane as the tanks, and then keeping Biscuit, C Carrot, and Tracy on the supports. They're really leaning into that DPS line, where you know, like, everybody those are just their roles. They don't have any eligible flexes, so you're letting your DPS be your true pivot, and having everybody else just kind of swap in and out. You're trying to just be an absolute hammer with that DPS, and they have been. They've been really effective, and the rest of the team has just been able to back them up and be able to play that carousel quite well.
Yeah, and it's one of those rosters too where when you look at them, you're not like, well, I don't really like know a lot about that person, or this person might be punching a bit of like. This is a good team, like you know, 1 to 7, like they're all solid players, and it is 7. I actually counted it right. Look at that. But yeah, they're all really good at what they do, and I think that's a really good thing to bring up, Salsa. They're all playing their roles. They're not messing around with flexes and stuff like that. Like, these people are locked in to what they need to do for their team, and I think they can really help the team when roles are clearly defined. Like, you're showing up and you know exactly what you have to do.
Yeah, I try to emphasize that, especially because C Carrot and Tracy with the ball pictures, they're having a fun little time, but they are locked into support. They can't play any other roles. As we look over towards the Log Racers role, another team that has really tried to lock in on their DPS, and that's a good strategy, especially in C League, where the depth for the, like, I'd say average level would be less impactful than it would be for something like your DPS. That's going to be a pretty big difference maker. And we have seen good things from Dark Buddies and Cambo, and as well, Bowsy can flex onto that DPS role as well. And we've seen good things out of that DPS line. Bowsy, when he's playing on the tank role, has also performed well. Gilgamesh is the main tank for this team. That's the thing why I don't want to say that the team's a fraud, because they're not. They have good pieces, and they're well constructed. It's just that they've gotten an easy schedule, so it's that worry, perhaps, just in the back of your mind, where this is where they need to show up and at least appear competitive. You don't win, but if you could take a map and look just good when you're playing, kind of put any potential doubts to bed.
Yeah, speaking of maps, we could take a quick look at those as well. We are going to be starting with New Queen Street first. I really like starting with, not Control, essentially. But I really like Push as a first map. I think it'll give us a good feeling. Obviously, the danger with Push is it's, in my opinion, the most snowbally map type. Like, you lose a bunch of meterage early, and it's so hard to get it back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a snowball type of game mode. It's probably the biggest sin it commits. I mean, there's a couple of for push, but I think that it's a good way of allowing the teams to set the tempo themselves a bit. A lot of the other maps, like in terms of the other two map types that are kind of not that round-based gameplay in terms of like control and flashpoint. Control is technically round-based, but point being, like, push, you're always still having to play to the objective. Slash point, sometimes you're just giving it up. And the way you have to consider where the bot is on each part of the map and where your ultimate economy is really factors in how much you want to commit to fights, which I think makes it an interesting first option as compared to control, which you do eventually get an ultimate reset with the new rounds. As we look towards our bans, Boa targeting down Gilgamesh with that ball ban makes a lot of sense. I think New Queen Street's a good option for that. Maybe Junkertown you might want to save it for, but I think you don't want to risk that getting protect banned, and probably Bowsy might have to switch over to the tank role. I'm trying to see if Bowsy is looks like everybody for Log Racers is there, so might see some swaps there. So having Gilgamesh just kind of be neutered is not a bad opening pick here. We're waiting for Log Racers to ban their pick. Looks like that's in. It's Freya, which that's just an evergreen ban. That's perfectly reasonable no matter where you're at.
Yeah, and the ball ban makes sense too, with New Queen Street being another map where ball can run amok a little bit. So I think that that makes sense. Like, everything seems to line up. You got Gilgamesh, you got New Queen Street. Ball seems like a right down the middle kind of ban. Like there was no better time to spend that than now.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is that if you don't ban ball now, Gilgamesh gets to play it. If you do ban ball now, they just run Bowsy on tank, and then Gilgamesh gets to play it on Junkertown. You can't. It's not like what we saw in our last game, where maybe there's some push and pull where you're able to accept the ball getting played here and it's not optimal, but then stop it on the map that it's definitely good on. It's now here you have to just bite the bullet on one of the maps, and Junkertown's probably the correct map since ball starts to lose some effectiveness on second and particularly third of that map. New Queen Street ball is good on the entire map, so it's still a very reasonable ban. It's just more like how much do you stress point A defense, really. Log Racers probably are willing just to trudge to that if they were going to get banned, so Boa just says, let's not do it on this entire map here on New Queen Street, just to get it over with.
That's just a consequence too of really the map pool for this game as well, right? Because you got New Queen Street, then you got Junkertown. The tiebreaker, if we get there, would be Ilios, and that also is somewhere where you could hypothetically play ball. So really, it's one of those ones where you just got to pick your poison, and I think you're 100% correct, and I'm right there with you. I think New Queen Street was definitely the one to do that for. I don't see an argument where you could say one of the other two would have been more impactful. And then obviously
you definitely aren't saving it for Ilios. You definitely you don't want to get there ideally, and you don't want to risk potentially getting 2-0'd. So reasonable to say that you don't want to ban it there. I think that there is an argument to be said if you really cared about first point defense of Junkertown, you don't want to deal with the ball there or either on your offense or their offense. There's a chance you say Junkertown ban it there, maybe you just get cheese out that map, but if you want consistency instead of the peaks, New Queen Street's the correct ban. I think that there's a world in which you save the ban for Junkertown. I think you just have to take it here, though.
I think for sure that utility cost as you go on into those second and third maps drops off pretty steeply on Ilios, frankly, because it is a tiebreaker and you might not even get there. So it's best to, spend that bullet now and take it for New Queen Street, which is a lovely push map. I mean, this is hopefully going to give us a good bellwether of what we can see for the rest of the series. Like I said, sometimes push can be a little bit deceiving because of its really snowbally nature, but I really hope this gives us a good idea of what we're going to see going on to our second and maybe third map as well.
4, 3, 2.
Yeah, we have both teams kind of set up on very similar compositions. The styles are going to be different. Dog Racer is going to be playing a little bit more divey with that Genji and the Hazard because Bowsy's on that Hazard. Fragster will be playing with more rush. You're probably going to be seeing a more team-oriented rollouts with just the fact that there's a Ramattra on the team server. Otherwise, the support lines are identical, just trying to stifle either engagement no matter which one it is.
Yeah, just both those tanks looking to dive, and then counter dive as needed as we're seeing Bowsy going in with that Hazard, definitely causing some definite problems in the backline, but they are going to go down along with Bazooka. So that's going to spell a pretty quick fight here, and now Bo is off to the races. And especially now that Campbell goes down third, that's going to be a really strong stagger.
Yeah, I question how much I like the engagement that Bowsy just took there. I think you have to try to find somebody caught out, and definitely Hazard's really good at trying to force someone to get out. But Ramattra can just, if you're going to engage in that way, the way that engagement happened, the Ramattra just can shut you down because of the raw just presence he has. And now we see Bowsy trying to find Andrew, cannot get that done. The wall is not enough to finish off that pick, and now Bazooka will fall. It's just so tough. Mantra, though, will go down Bowsy with the right click, getting that block damage, and just as but the problem is you've given up so much court presence. That's what I'm trying to say. You've already given up that butt scratch.
And now it's going to get even worse, too, with the Kitsune Rush coming up from Boa. They're going to search for it even further. Tracy's going to finally get rid of Bowsy, who's just tapping the point to try and keep it not moving too much. With Andrew getting the rail shot in onto Coolies and Mantra with a deflect, this is going to be Boa getting more meterage. They're already up to 73 meters and counting. This is about as good start as you could possibly get on New Queen Street.
Yeah, I mean, you do get Andrew as an exit frag, but you'll use your Kitsune Rush in a fight that you definitely were not going to win anyways. Bowsy was way too low. You already lost Bazooka. I don't like that usage. I think you have to take that on the chin and say, yep, we've lost. Here comes the down 4. Actually, looks like it gets 1 Biscuit and who will fall. So you do get a good value out of that. Shut down to one of the supports. You're trying to find the other 2. There goes Tracy. Mantra will fall, and it's a quick fight win for Log Racers.
Alright, so Log Racers does now have control of the bot, and we'll probably get it back close to neutral before Boa is able to come back in and re-engage. But Boa does have a lot of toys to play with in this next fight with 4 different ultimates online.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to figure out how to deal with the Annihilation. I think that's going to be the most difficult one. You do have that wall to break LOS, but the beat is, like your beat is going to get overloaded here. There's 2 or 3 ultimates you'd like to use it for, and you only get to use it really for one of them. Here comes that blade, it's going to go through, there's the beat, and now another one of the ultimates is going to get popped for Boa, and that's going to be the thing that just kind of breaks this open for them. Log Racers will be able to eat them all. There comes that overclock, and it already finds 2 Coolies and Cambo going down, and looks like it'll also find Bazooka as well. There's the 3rd, yeah, Mantra getting the cleanup there. It's just so difficult to deal with, and you still hold on to that Annihilation.
Yeah, it really just felt like Boa had more cues to press in that fight, and they're going to have more cues to press in the next fight as well, so that's quite nice for them. And they already have 97 meters. They've just picked up that checkpoint again. They don't even really need to really push the issue. They're already so far ahead. They just need to keep basically elongating fights, and that will do enough to eventually win them some map. But the Kitsune Rush is out, and they are using it to perfection. A couple picks coming through. Log Racers is already down 3, so this will be more card push coming in. And Bowsy, it's just been a rough go on that Ramattra now that they're back on. And I mean, Salsa, I haven't seen a full cap in a minute on New Queen Street, but we might be getting one here.
Yeah, and there's still Annihilation to go. That's the biggest issue. It's not just the number of Qs they've been able to press, it's the rate that they're trading them off. Bazooka and Campbell go down. Just Bowsy has to hold right click getting back onto that Hazard. Has to just ignore the ultimate presence, but it doesn't matter, and it looks like there's just 1 left. Coolies will die on the point, and it is a full cap on New Queen Street. A dominant showing from Boa, keeping their streak alive so far, and Log Racers really have to try to pull it together for Junkertown.
Yeah, they're gonna have to make a quick turnaround if they want to get back into this match, because that's just about as thoroughly as you can be beaten on a map. Log Racers winning, to my count, 1 fight total. So
Yeah,
it's
one fight.
definitely a back to the drawing board moment, because what you were trying there for Log Racers in the first map just frankly wasn't working. Boa just had their number.
No, I think the Hazard was a nice prospective pick, but I don't think you can run it long term, and Bowsy maybe committed to it a little bit too long. I think you just have to match the Ramatra after that first fight where you just kind of got crumpled by over committing. I think you have to play so passive and defensive just to get into the proper position that it's the value you can get from Hazard is immense, but the times in which you're going to get that value is the difficulty. So I think part of that, part of their strength will be that they're getting to move over to Gilgamesh on ball. That'll definitely help. That especially on a map like Junkertown. I think that if you could get this and then push to Ilios, you still are in this. There's still plenty of time, but it's hard not to be demoralized after such a crushing defeat.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where the mental really comes into play. Like, I mean, anybody when they get beat that quickly on New Queen Street is going to be, you know, a little bit rattled, frankly, afterwards. Like, because you're ready for the map, you're going in, you're saying, okay, this is, you know, a good team. But you know, we were talking about it in the opening. I really thought that Log Racers could hang with them, if I'm being honest, and they just didn't that time around. So you really got to reset mentally. You got to say, hey, look, that one's over. Flush it, get over it, and then get onto this map on Junkertown, because like they're still in it. They can still turn this around, but it's seeming like it's going to be a tall order. I mean, I'm not saying this to be detrimental to Log Racers. Boa is looking very, very good as well. Like we were talking about the Hazard. They were really recognizing when those windows were open that the Hazard maybe wasn't getting as much value, you know, because they're repositioning or whatnot, and then boom, Boa's in there and they get a couple kills, and the fights sometimes almost seemed like they were over before they began.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it also is just Log Racers. Like, obviously, Log Racers don't have their main tank player in, and I also think part of it is just maybe push is that snowbally game mode. You lose that one fight, maybe I think like you lose one more, and suddenly they're at the butt scratch. You're already so far behind that it's just difficult to come back from anyway. That you just have to take it on the chin to say, you know, this map sucks and move on. Yeah. Does not help that you're moving on to Junkertown, but we can see as we look towards the bans, Log Racers have banned D.Va. And
so that feels interesting to me. I was going to say so. So like, what does that point you towards? What do you think Log Racers is thinking with that ban?
Ball. That's what they're thinking. I mean, part of the problem is like you would like to shut down the D.Va. That's not a bad ban in order to help out your ball, but I think you have to ban Ana. I think because if there's because they're probably going to just run an Ana Zen, or they might run something with the BAP, or like something. I think you'd rather them deal with the BAP and force out a lamp that's a long cooldown than you would have to just, oh, I got slept and I have Discord Herb and I'm antied and I'm dead. So and Junkertown is a good map to be able to do that setup on, especially like. Zen might have some problems getting in proper position, but the Ana has a ton of sightlines and absolutely loves it on Junkertown. So I think that is the concern, and we're going to see here on for Boa, they banned Sombra. Oh. Hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I'll just let you
wait a minute.
For a second. I was going to say, if you want to see a good illustration of what a Zen and a backline can do to Wrecking Ball, just go back and watch the last map. We just last map we just cast it. We saw it in living color. What can happen with the Discord Orb and the Sleep and the Bionase all hitting that Wrecking Ball. But yeah, so Sombra ban, I was trying to vamp for a minute there, just so you could get your thoughts together on that one.
Yeah. Okay. So on one hand, you're taking away a dive, like a dive participant. That's a good thing. But also, ball could just get hacked. I don't know how much you want to take out the potential of the back pocket character that presses right click and then ball doesn't do anything. It's not a great option, but it's an option. I don't think you want to take that away, even if you're. I think you just rather just ban Tracer if you want to get rid of a dive participant. Ban Genji. I don't think you want to. I don't think the Sombra is going to be that impactful, especially on. If we're playing on Junkertown, just ban Widowmaker. Just get rid of something like that. Don't get into your big head games here, I think.
The way I kind of think about it is like, yes, you're taking away the Sombra that could play with the ball, but kind of like you're saying, you want to have that Sombra against the ball because, I mean, Sombra hacks and the ball stops rolling, and that's kind of what a ball does, is roll. So if a ball can't roll, it's kind of useless. So
yeah, and that's not to say that they have to play that. And I don't even think that it's wise for them to play that. But I think that in the emergency case where you are kind of getting just rolled by Gilgamesh, having that in the back pocket is a nice thing to have, and not and just saying we're gonna ban that preemptively so that's never gonna happen might be something that they're gonna be kicking themselves for as at the end of this map potentially.
Well, I mean, on the plus side for Boa, if Biscuit keeps hitting Bionades like that, which was absolutely filthy to start us off, it's going to be something that is really going to hinder Log Racers as we go forward. Mantra is down to about 0.5 HP, but they are able to stay alive on that Genji and get back. Nice slam coming out from Gilgamesh, showing that tech. However, they are going to eat a sleep, and then Bionade almost instantly has to roll out with about 40% HP. And this is going to allow Boa just to push forward, get some of this position going here. And now we got 100 into the back line on this Winston, just fighting multiple targets with that Tesla cannon and just wreaking havoc into the back. Gilgamesh and Dark Buddies are going to be able to combine for a couple eliminations. So now the payload is on its way flying through this first point here. And this is looking a lot better for them here. Dark Buddy is able to find another one. And unfortunately, Sea Carrot, just nothing you can do against a mostly full health Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, no, ball, like, this is the difference between playing, as we get that one touch by the Winston Hunter. Hunter Tane gets there in the end, but Mantra will fall during the defense. Winston will fall shortly afterwards. There's the cap, 5 minutes on the clock. But, yeah, I think it's difficult sometimes for the Brig versus how we saw that Zen. Brig is generally the correct protector for Ana, but if the Ana's not there to get the key cooldowns or they're not online, the Brig can't do that much. You really get one boop, maybe two, and that's it. And if that ball is able just to kind of juke you or rotate around you a little bit, you're a bit of a sitting duck. And what we saw with some Sea Carrot back there. Hunter Tane now has to get back to the high ground. The Vines, oh no. Does survive. Bazooka will go down for the Genji melee. So a little bit of progress slowed for Log Racers as Boa tries to rotate back up to the high ground here.
And also, Log Racers looking for maybe a big pick coming out to keep this going. A good job from Boa keeping that high ground, like you mentioned, just making sure they can stay up top and keep some of the vertical advantage. A good job coming out from Hunter Tane there, getting into the back line of their own team to make sure that they're peeling for their support a little bit as well. And now we got the blade coming out here from Dark Buddy into the back line. Nano has been spent on that Genji as well. And there is a return on investment. Dark Buddy's able to cut down 2. And now in a war of attrition with Sea Carrot. And they are going to go down to that Brig. Sea Carrot was able to pop the rally and use that Brig ultimate to stay alive in this fight. Payload is now stalled a little bit underneath this bridge. Hunter Tane still has the Primal Rage online, but doesn't need to spend it right now. Sea Carrot once again in peril into the backline. They are making friends with this Wrecking Ball, or more likely enemies, as Gilgamesh is able to take down the Brig one more time. Payload still inching its way forward. Gilgamesh with another nice plan. Has another set of mines online, seeing if they can get rid of the Freya. Unfortunately, Andrew was able to slip through, and now Mantra on cleanup duty is able to get a couple as this payload is finally stalled.
Yeah, the one good thing about when you have to deal with the ball is the ball does not provide that much protection for the rest of the team. He can obviously pressing E on with the shields, but not that much. And if the rest of the team is dead, the ball is not going to win the fight on his own. So that's what we saw there. Like, Gilgamesh doing a lot, but not able to actually finish it off because the rest of the team falls. And now we're getting a bunch of picks onto Log Racers. That Blade getting pulled from Mantra. Finds 3 on Chitang, able to find Cambo as well. And now it's just the ball once again, and you're going to see maybe a little bit of play as those mines are invested as well. And maybe getting an exit frag if we can onto Mantra. Now just trying to survive. Will get out, barely. But yeah, just not able to do anything with the rest of the team gone, even if, like, it wasn't going to happen when there was only 2 or 3 on the cart. It's definitely not going to happen when there's 5. And a great dive from Hunter Tane will already find 2. Should be 3 here. Cambo will fall as well. Both supports. And that Sojourn gone. A great just time waster. And now down to 2 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, Hunter Tane with great follow-up onto Andrew's bolo shot there to really wipe that out. And all those players caught in a small room with a bolo shot and a Winston, it ain't going to end well for you. Now, Log Racers really have stalled out their momentum. They haven't been able to push the cart in a little bit now. Trying to get back up onto the high ground is Gilgamesh, 83% to a minefield, but a lot of ultimates, including both support ults for Boa online to try and weather this storm. Slam coming in, and the minefield has now been earned. Campbell throws down the overclock, that's 1, but Hunter Tane is into the back and punishes the Sojourn with the Primal Rage, the Winston ultimate, throwing hands into the back. Mantra once again gets down low, has to eat a Bionade, but they're totally fine with it, able to get back out here. A lot of health left for the players remaining on Boa. They're going to stick in onto the point. Hunter Tane is going to go down with a coordinated dive coming through from the Log Racers, and now they sense this is the moment to go. Throws down the rally. Dark Buddies is able to get 1, and with that investment coming out from the rally at the end, that is going to push that fight over the line, and Boa will might get one more chance to touch here before the second point is capped.
It looks like they will. That Winston should be in position. Actually, it looks maybe they're giving it up. No, here comes Hunter Tane trying to get into position for the touch. And probably going to see this nano from Biscuit onto that Winston. Just try to get as much damage as you can. Build with that Primal quite a bit. Blade getting committed by Dark Buddies. And Bazooka will fall quickly. Andrew getting traded off there. And now trying to find Mantra. The nano boost is onto Mantra. And will find Dark Buddies. So a little bit of a presence for Boa now that you've committed that nano boost. Gilgamesh will finally fall. And this is a hold with no time on the clock. That was it.
Yep. That's going to do it for Log Racers on the attack. So not the worst attack we've ever seen. They do almost get to that second point. But man, they would have loved to win that last fight and get that payload over the line, get that extension into the time bank. But unfortunately they don't, and Boa set themselves up with a very clear win condition. They get to that second point. They take down Log Racers 2-0.
Yes, and now is where we get to see how well the ball can play, especially on defense. Defense, I think, is where the ball can raise more havoc. Just you have to keep the team far more you have to keep the offensive team far more honest with the ball potentially in the back line, and there's better cover for the rest of the defense. We were talking about how the rest of the team kind of just is there. They don't have a ton of protection. But when you have the better defensive positioning, you kind of make up for that a bit. I doubt this Boa composition is real, at least when it comes to the Doomfist. I can't imagine we're playing the Doomfist. I think we're just gonna the Andrew Widow is probably just a quick scouting, just to pop out, take a pot shot, and then swap back if you get a pick. Fantastic. You probably win your first fight off of that alone. Surely this Doomfist is not real, right? Oh no. Also, Log Racers just not in position for defense? What are we doing?
This is a little rough, honestly. If you're not ready to go at the start of the round, maybe, I don't know, some indecision with what comp they wanted to run or what players they wanted to run, which would be weird because most of the players on the same heroes they ran in the first map, so not entirely sure there. Good boop there from the Hammond to make sure that the high ground is vacated a little bit early, but Gilgamesh is having a really tough time keeping the members of BOA off the high ground, and now 1 HP and the bio applied to them. They're going to have to wait for the healing before they can go back in. And now a beautiful play on Andrew, gets them low, takes them down, so that is the threat of the Widow gone. But at least so far, right now, the BOA deciding to go with the Doomfist, and they are switching off the Widowmaker.
Yeah, that would seem like a temporary one. I'm surprised the Doomfist is sticking around, but so far so good. You're getting a very far down. Both of the Genjis get traded off. Cambo drop below there, and Bazooka will fall now. I think, yeah, now we're maybe just trying to boop off the ball. It won't work. We do have that on the cooldown, so we are good there, but it does burn that force of rotation. Cambo will fall now. Just constant attrition for Log Racers there. You've not been able to really stop this cart meaningfully, and now you've lost coolies. You do, and you don't get to even use that nano boost as... All right, well, cart's still moving, about to cap first. Log Racers should get a touch. The ball should be back in time. Yeah, there we go. Gilgamesh chilling in the back, and we'll spin to win for a little bit, just trying to wait for the rest of the team to get in position and try to make this a hold.
And nice sleep coming out there from Biscuit as well onto the ball. But this map really did seem to change a bit once that Widowmaker was gone. Andrew switched over to the Freya, getting obviously a lot more value off the more meta hero, and now we got the Meteor Strike coming in from Hunter Dane on the Doomfist. Isn't really going to find anybody, but tries to get into the backline to help protect their supports from the menace that is Gilgamesh. Just rolling around in the backline, and nobody with the burst damage to quite take them out, as Gilgamesh just gets back to point, is able to get a mega health pack, and now they're ready to go back in again, and now Hunter Dane, who's low out, is going to go down. So we're seeing now why the ban on the Wrecking Ball came through in the first match, because slow start maybe a bit, but Gilgamesh has been looking good here, and this is going to be a reset for BOA.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so tough to deal with this. I mean, oh, what a sleep. Biscuit just barely surviving. Nobody in Log Race is really there to capitalize. There it is, a little late, did not get enough healing, did not have that Bionade on cooldown, off cooldown, I should say. Yeah, just not able to get it done. Hunter Dane now swapping over to the Winston. Honestly, a little late. Like, I mean, part of the problem is just really committed to Doomfist for too long, I think. You have every other ultimate in the world, though, and that should be the things that can break this open. But Log Racers getting close to having all 5 ultimates of their own. So just really a race to see if those other damage ultimates can come online before Log Racers commit to their DPS or their support ultimates. They've already committed one in the form of the nano boost just being gone, not on the server anymore. But now with Cambo going down, so it looks like they will break through and capture first.
Yeah, using that ult advantage to finally get through and get this point in, which was very important considering they only had 15 seconds left on the time bank. That was absolutely a fight they needed to win unless they wanted to send us to a map 3. So now 2:35 left on the clock for BOA to get through this streets phase of the map and take a 2-0 win in the series. A bit of a disengage coming from Coolies as they get so very low. And now Dark Buddies in the back line. Both Genjis going sword to sword, not getting too much done. Cambo's there to help out and finally get rid of Mantra. So that is going to make it tougher for BOA to push through this next corner.
Yeah, I think the ball gets a little bit less value, especially on the defense on second. But it's still very doable. What is Gilgamesh setting up here? I'm ready to see it. Enlighten me. Enlighten me. Enlighten me.
He's doing Wrecking Ball things, and this is one of them.
We're setting up for the blade, I see.
Yeah, it was a perfect setup, to be honest. That was... that's why Wrecking Ball is fun, folks, because you can do whatever you want.
I mean, it actually was a really good setup, and now you still have the mines for next fight. And the cart's moving back with a minute and a half left, and just the Bola, maybe this Primal as well, but the mines can be able to shut that down before that's even a concern. Honestly, good tempo, and you'll be able to cycle your ultimates quite effectively. There's the mines. And you're able to find 2. You're able to find Andrew and Biscuit, and the Brigitte is very low. Sekiro should go down here. It's just a great start to this fight, and a really great end to it, too, because that was start and end was basically happened at the exact same instant.
Yeah, and that was what I thought was going to happen in the fight before, but obviously Gilgamesh didn't use the mines because they knew that Dark Buddies was going to come through with the blades. So able to win 2 fights essentially with 2 ultimates, and now they've burned the clock down to 45 seconds. So we're getting into the end of the clock for Boa's attack if they want to make something happen. And Andrew says, I absolutely will make something happen. Takes down 2 with the Soj, and now it's going to be rough for Kui's getting knocked around into the backline. Is able to throw down the Bionite, but it is not going to be enough to dissuade Hunter Tane on that Winston at about 50 HP to get back in and get that elimination. Now Mantra's back finds one with the melee elim, and just like that, 15 seconds left to go. The payload getting very close to where it needs to be, and a lot of members of Boa on it. Can anybody touch? It's going to have to be Gilgamesh as Mont finds 2, one with the blade, one with the dash. And that just might about do it. Mantra's able to slice down another. And Boa looked dicey for them in moments, but they're going to take this 2-0.
Yeah. Gilgamesh just playing footsies, really. Trying to juke out that sleep dart to not get slept on the point. But you waste too much time. And that just allows the cart to roll in, and now the team can't get set up. You almost had mines, and it actually went up right before you died. I think you have to just play more aggressive, stop the cart, roll through back to your team. Maybe you die, but it's a risk you have to take because otherwise you're just putting yourself in such a bad position that you have to roll in there so aggressively anyways. It's just tough to see. But, I mean, Boa is still playing fantastic and just keeping things going. Now, get locked in a winning season now with being 4-0 and just seems to be on a roll dominating this Cedar division.
Yeah, and like they just squeezed the life out of another team, another 2-0 against Log Racers. And this, I think, this map, or this match as a whole, was a really good example of what we were kind of saying at the beginning before we played the first map, which is this is a team that is solid from top to bottom. Like, they don't have a ton of like weak links or weak players that can really be like preyed on above others. They are a solid team, and it really showed in this match. Like, there's a lot of different choices for MVP.
Yeah, part of me wants to say, just because of how they rotated with their team, that it's going to be one of those pivots that kept the same. So you're going to be looking at really the DPS line and Biscuit. I lean a little bit more towards Andrew here. I think Andrew is just providing a consistent amount of value on the Sojourn and on the, and on that Freya for both New Queen Street. I mean, dominant on New Queen Street, let's be clear. And then just also really solid there on Junkertown, just getting the critical picks, getting to play that Bola really well. Just a really solid option.
Yo, what's up, chat?
All right, and we do have some friends joining us from Boa. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
How do you all feel about that match?
You want to go first?
Oh yeah. Thank you. I mean, it was fun. It's always fun. The team is very. The team is very excited every time that we play. There's a lot of calm. There's a lot of excitement to play the video game. However, I will say, in protest, can we please go back to 1st to 3, man? Please bring me back to the good old days of like just being excited for a game and it lasts a good amount of time, because 1st to 2 is not enough. Like, it was over so quickly, man.
I feel like
we really noted the protest.
But it was just like, I mean, the games feel so, like just go by so quickly, Like I feel like in the heat of the moment, like we're thinking so much that like we don't realize how short it really is while we're playing. But like afterwards, you're like, oh, like is that it?
Well, it certainly helps that you've been crushing your opponents. You're now 4-0. You've locked in a winning season. How are you feeling for the second half?
All I'll say is I'm just not too worried. I'm confident in our team. Andrew, Biscuit, everybody, they're all great. I don't think we can lose.
Yeah, no, it's a good amount of aura. I like the team. I think everyone is very competitive. I think they're all really excited to like learn and Because every time we play, it feels like everyone is trying their best. Sometimes it's like the quiet moments and stuff like that. But it's definitely a very good team. And shout outs to Andrew, the captain goat. He's very good at just keeping his head in the game and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not worried, but still, gotta watch out for some people here and there.
Yeah, and it seems crazy. Like your team seems to have both the obviously the mechanical and the game side of it down. Like you're all good at Overwatch, and then on top of that, you seem to have a really good handle on the mental side of it as well, which isn't always the case for some teams. But it seems like your team is really good at that side of it too.
No, yeah, thank you. Definitely, I think the team is very happy to be playing all together, and I hope the next half of the season is just as successful, and hopefully they bring back first to 3. I will never let that one down.
Me neither.
Well, so also, do you have any questions for Alucard and Biscuit?
No, I have nothing else.
Awesome.
All right, well,
thank you very much.
Once again, I'll say congratulations. Good to talk
Thank
to you
you.
too, and it was a really good showing, a full cap on New Queen Street, and then a solid showing on Junkertown as well. So that's one you can definitely, I think, be happy about.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, thank you guys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
And all right. Yeah, just a dominant win for Boa. And, now looking towards, if we can take a look at our standings, we showed them while they were talking, but, yeah, Boa still on top of this division, locked in that winning season. Cannot get 7th place, basically. Actually, they literally cannot. No, they can. Map differential can still get them there. Just barely.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if that happened?
No, I can't. I cannot, honestly. That would be insane. But the Bear still has to play, so they still have that opportunity. They'll play Goatman tomorrow. Otherwise, Log Racers, just a tough one. Boa's great competition, so you did not silence a potential doubter, but also it's an expected result. Because Boa is just so on fire in this division in C League. So it's you have to bounce back from that loss. You still look competitive on Junkertown, so you just have to take that as it is, be happy at least with that, and try just to go at it next week with your head held high as much as you can.
For sure. And with that as mine as well, we'll take a quick look at the schedule here. One last time. A lot of
recap today's
fun
events.
there. I know there were a lot of 2-0s in the mix there, but both the maps we saw were 2-0s, but they were both fun to watch for sure. A lot of good plays, a lot of good players, even on losing teams. I think it was a blast today. There was a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Primal Pineapples keeping their streak alive of being perfect. I believe, I'm trying to see if I'm right about this. I am not, so I'm not going to finish my sentence. I was going to... Yeah. Otherwise, we have some bit of a C League action as well. We saw earlier with the Oomphy University Noctis game. Oomphy University goes to 3-1, and Noctis goes to 2-2. Pretty good there. And just a few handful more matches for the rest of the thing, and we can move over tomorrow's schedule because still have one more day of action. Frogs on Fire, Camp Halfburger, that is an A-League match that is in the Ash division. And Aspen. Frogs on Fire is currently 2-1, would like to be able to stay in that 3rd seed position that they're at. Camp Halfburger would like to even up at 2-2. What's up, Doc? Still, I believe, also looking for their first win. They're looking for their first map win, in fact, against Red Bandas. And then Goatman and the Bear, we talked about that just earlier. Grin Reaper, Campfire Song is a Ash League game. Both of those teams towards the middle of the table really would like to try to break their season open and keep things strong. And finally, Camp Jump Shot, Birdwatch is our final game. Just a little bit of Balsa action. Camp Jump Shot and Bird, they're pretty much even. They're both 1 and 2. Bird is up by 2 maps, but just trying to kind of keep that going, stay strong, because this is those teams that drop to 1 and 3. They're not gone, but they're in desperation. They need to stay strong for the rest of the season. You do not want to get to that position if you can avoid it.
And you'll have to tune in tomorrow, 8 p.m. we start, that is Eastern time, to see what's going to go down tomorrow on our Sunday of this week of the BPL 7. But for today, that is going to do it for us. So I'm Newbeat, and that is Salsa. Thanks for hanging out with us. It was a lot of fun, a lot of good matches, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of good ones more tomorrow. But to find that out, you'll have to see then. We'll see you back at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow.
Your grace is love beyond all means. It breaks the chains and gives strength to the weak. When I am lost, you're there with me. Your grace alone can set me free. Your grace abounds, it knows no end. It covers me and is my defense.